4-0 apresenta LTA South.
E se o Tatu levantou, o Titã levanta também. Ai! O João pegou o dragão com golpear, é simplesmente sensacional! Mais o bônus da equipe da FourY, o bom chave, Romer! Romer, você é clutch, que jogada! Quatro abates do Gigo e a FourY vai pra vitória! Desde 2022, a paiN Gaming tem vaga cravada em grandes finais e vai para mais uma agora na segunda etapa da LTA South. Que é o Titã da conada de vida, Tatu de novo!
Sejam todos muito bem-vindos à primeira...
Welcome everybody back to the LTA South. It is Split 2 Grand Finals. My name is Trajan. I'm joined by FourY4 and RMC, the OGs on the desk. And we are going to be taking it through FourY versus paiN Gaming. What a trailer as well, just to get that out the way. And the thing that really stands out to me with the trailers like this, with the production, the Sao Paulo arena and crew put together, is you can see so much passion and just joy on the face of the players. And that has so long been our trademark as a region. And I'm just so happy to see it, RMC. It's a joy to watch.
Yeah.
It's clearly a joy to play, you know.
100%. And if you're able to, you can check on Twitter sort of the welcoming ceremony that the teams get when they walk in there. I mean, we're in the finals. It's paiN, it's FourY. It's two of the most hyped teams this split, and their fans always deliver. paiN fans especially. Every time it's grand finals, they're out there. They've got fireworks. They've got the smokes. They've got the drums. They've got everything. And that energy, it carries here into the arena, into the grand finals.
Yeah, they are sending it from minute one, that's for sure. And FourY4, it's passion, it's joy, it's the scene and it's the culture, but it is also the talent, right? I think the trailer shows just how clearly a cut above these two teams are. They have emerged as our top two pretty conclusively after yesterday's lower final, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, like, it would have made for some more compelling storylines. Not more compelling, but some interesting storylines if an IE was able to turn it around from first in Split 1 to, in the absolute bin, back to a top 2 finish.
Yeah.
You know, if Red would have somehow pulled off a miracle run, if the old heads of Loud would have somehow salvaged their season. So some of these are more exciting than others, I'll grant you. But like you said, these are clearly the two best teams. They have proven it, and this is the grand finals that it should be. So I'm glad we're getting that, because this has a potential to be something extremely exciting.
Yeah. And on top of that, too, just looking at the players coming out, we see Curry, we see Jojo. There's stories between these two teams, right? Yes, FourY is our youngest team. Yeah, paiN is one of our oldest organizations, but the players in it, right? Like Curry and Jojo, they were both supports that played with Titan, who we're seeing on screen right now. Titan played with Gigo as well. Heck, Gigo, Titan, Curry, Jojo, pardon me. Those three were part of the Crash Candidates back in 2021 Split 2, 2022 Split 1, which won back-to-back in CB LOL in the what was prior to the LTA South. So there are a lot of threads between a lot of these players as well.
Yeah, you could see the trademark Titan smile on a stony-faced IU. It has been a tough season for IU into Titan many times. He'd love to change that narrative today as the mid laners join us. Tuts and Romer, again, both look like a couple of babies coming out here, but Tuts is a father, is a championship winner, and Romer an actual genuine promotion debut coming in from TL Academy previously and has been very varied in the pool and certainly varied in the opinions, but I think has managed to turn that ship around mostly coming into the final.
Yeah, I mean, Gigo, or sorry, Tatu and Carioca that you see there, right? There's so many connections between these two teams. As you were saying, RMC, this was supposed to be Carioca's understudy. Tatu coming up from paiN Gaming Academy, and it was like, all right, eventually when the paiN fans get so angry that they do manage to boot Carioca from the lineup, they've tried. They've never succeeded, but they've tried and tried and tried. It was supposed to be Tatu that came up, and both is a rare win-win because FourY4 got their guy. This guy's looking like, again, small sample size alert, this guy's looking like the kind of guy that you build around for years to come. And Carioca, by the way, just won an MVP.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we...
Just to put paid to all those storylines, all the story of decline and of retirement and of it's over for this guy, just pops an MVP in there. Why not? Why not?
But despite that, he's still been beaten Tatu repeatedly. So Tatu's like sort of the phenom, the up-and-coming guy. Yeah, Carioca's MVP, but Tatu's like right there nipping at his heels, not quite able to take over. But if there is a lane, I feel like where FourY4 has really excelled this split, especially into the paiN, because they've met at every single stage so far, right? They've met in the positioning phase once, they met in the group phase, and they're in the cross phase part of the group phase. They met in the playoffs already in the upper finals, so this is their second time in the grand finals meeting up against each other. The one player who I felt like was actually kind of winning out against his matchup was in the top lane, Gigo. Up there against Weiser. He's been in Gigod mode. Yesterday, especially against IE, Gigo was phenomenal. If not for him, those matches would not be as easy, and perhaps it could even have gone 5 games.
Yeah, the Gigod-Gigon dichotomy continues. The last time they came up against each other, it was a bit of a Gigon moment. The Korean killer was a bit killed that day. It was not his day. But yeah, absolutely a massive turnaround into IE. And it's another Korean top laner, and he completely demolished that top side, and Summit no less, one of the most famous kind of individual top lane talents coming out and has been following around this region as well. So it's just impossible to say, really. I think FourY4 do look like they have the little barest inklings of a bit of a mental block potentially growing here. They do look a little bit out of sorts against paiN sometimes. Now, FourY4, we have so many times all the way through this, especially to playoffs, we've gone, are you good, or do you just beat the next worst team? And it seems like FourY4 looks so good against everyone but paiN, and maybe it's just that simple. Maybe they're just better than everyone else, but worse than paiN.
Yes, you know, what's Occam's razor, right? Sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. And like we said, look, both these teams are a cut above. It's paiN at 1, FourY4 at 2, and then a big old gap, and then everyone else at 3rd, right? Because like you said, Trajan, FourY4 have beaten what's in front of them, but they've kind of tonked whoever is in front of them, right? It was never like it got a little, like maybe one game here and there, right, to give some credit to the other teams, but it never really felt like the series as a whole was in doubt. But like you said, especially in that bottom lane, like both of you have been alluding to, that is where the rubber meets the road, and that's where you see a, you know, if you're a FourY4 fan, you're taking an optimistic spin on this, you say, man, how cool would it be if we could develop this area of growth going into split 3? Because, you know, this seems kind of very high stakes, and, you know, it's nice that we have just like a purely domestic split right now, because for you to really prove yourself, guess what? You're gonna have to do it in Texas in late September, right? In the LTA Split 3 finals. That is going to be the 3 top teams from the north versus the 3 top teams from the south. That should be really exciting. And FourY4, I think their goal right now, look, you want to go to MSI. Obviously, you want to win it all. You're going to do everything you can. Go to EWC, have your fun, whatever. Scale in a way that you can punch up at some of these LTA North teams, right? Because it can't just be paiN, right? For the broader health of the region, if we're going to zoom out, it can't just be paiN. You need another team to be able to go up there and give the North teams a good fight.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned the bot lane as a specific dynamic here for FourY4, because RMC, you have put together something for us that really demonstrates the difference in experience in both of those teams, and the bot lane is kind of the clearest example of that. IU has been touted as the next new thing. Titan is the man at the top of this region and has been for a couple of splits now. You know, it is next generation versus old guard down there, but IU just does not look in his right mind against Titan sometimes, but it is just that sometimes it comes down to just the level of experience there, right?
Yeah, and if you look at the experience, we talk a lot about FourY4 as a young team, and that's because of the age, right? Like they're 21 and a half years old compared to 24 years old. But you look at sort of the total championships, there's 5 on FourY4, and we mentioned, you know, Gigo and Jojo with Titan back on that Red Canids roster, but Tuts a championship under his belt as well, totaling 5, whereas for paiN, you know, 4 of those championships were literally just from last split, 2024 split 2. I think the finals experience, though, is what is really going to matter. There is a big discrepancy there. But again, the discrepancy, as you mentioned, it comes from the bot lane. And specifically one player, And that's Titan. If we look at Titan specifically, he's got 5 championships. Take Titan out. And paiN, well, it's arguable they're as successful as FourY at that point.
Yeah, the statistical tentpole right there in the center of paiN. And ever since he joined paiN, Titan tends to become the central tentpole of all the teams that he's on. And I think he still is that, but as we get into the draft, it is not all about him on paiN. He is an essential part, but he is not the whole puzzle. And as we get into this draft, we've already seen the Nico slam down in #1, and this has been very contested between Curry and Jojo. Curry initially kind of popularizing it again in the LTA South 4x4, but Jojo had been turning his hand to it a lot over the recent times.
Yeah, and then responded to immediately with the Taliyah. That doesn't surprise me. The Nico being this early B1'd immediately, that did surprise me a little bit. I mean, but once you get in, once you get away from your Gwens and stuff like that, if it is in fact the Karma hover, right? We've seen Ezreal Karma in the north. I learned something fun yesterday. Part of the reason that Nico is as strong as she is as a mage is that you can do this like emote spam with the clone and get her to just essentially serve as a hawk shot. And you get insane vision, right? To clear, not, can't clear out brushes, but you can scout from half a screen away. I had no idea about this. I learned this yesterday watching LTA North. So that has shot her popularity just so large.
Yeah, and more than Hawkshot, she stays for quite a long time as well. I think that's one of the most annoying things about Nico. Not to mention, Curry's just amazing with it. And we're talking back about the bot lane again. It enables the Kalista pick insanely well. Like, yeah, you can pair Kalista with like the Leonas and whatnot, but Nico just adds so much value. The lane oppression that comes through with her range and her poke ability just sets them up so well. We do see the Taliyah Xin combo come through for FourY though, and paiN just kind of opted for the handshake in the mid lane with the Ahri. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Vi come through from Karioka. I'm not a fan of Karioka's Vi Xin, but it is a good pickup to pair with the Ahri in the 2v2.
Now, I think it's interesting that we are dropping a lot of heavily shared picks in this first round. The Nico, the Xin, the Ahri, these are like very, very highly played options of both sides. And they've gone for the Nico, but they've not paired it with a Kalista, which was unbanned. They've not paired it with a Kai'Sa, which FourY has done before. They've actually gone for the Ezreal, almost a potential denial of the threatened Ezreal Karma counter. And we've seen paiN do this before, where they went Corki Nami and went, aha, we've taken one half of your option and we're going to take the other half. And it was really bad, guys. It was really bad. So let's see how Ezreal Nico works. We do not see this combo very often. The answer has been Jhin. It's a very comfortable, solid pick for IU. So it's hard to split too far, but paiN certainly are taking a slightly zanier approach to this draft. And we'll see what the second round of bans are going to focus out. Tops still open for both sides, so I'm going to look for maybe some power picks to be taken off there.
Well, and I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me that the top lane went as deep in the draft as it did. It's, for both of these teams, because like we mentioned, right, in the top lane, Gigo is kind of your one lane where you go, actually, no, we can kind of slam this, right? Gigo has been much more Gigo than Gigon. I think he had like the one bad Volibear game to start the split, and that's kind of been it. He's been extreme. It's probably his most consistent split since his MVP split, and even then, I think you could argue that, maybe I'm biased because the results look better here and more consistent, and so I feel like he's looked more consistent, but paiN knows that that's a lane that they need to shore up and get something really stable for Wiser. That I think, like, even though it's not that high priority, the Jax is still open. The only reason I'm not, like, jonesing for Wiser to get on the Jax is because I think compositionally it doesn't fit all that well, and I think paiN Gaming, when they draft the Jax, they draft it in very specific compositions. But then on the other side, it makes total sense that you've got, I mean, you're going to give FourY R5 for Gigo, and I'm fascinated to see what he pulls out with the Rumble band away now as well.
Yeah, that does still leave the Jace open in terms of that sort of top lane triumvirate of Rumble, Gwen, Jace. Jace is available, and I suspect that's what Wiser might be looking for. A lane pick that doesn't really get bullied out. Yes, you can go with the Scion counter, but that's not a lane counter. That's something that outscales. Interestingly enough, paiN actually going for the Scion themselves, hovering it. And to be fair, I do think both teams really need tanks. Neither Jhin nor Ezreal are tank busters, so both compositions would not like to have to deal into big chunky units. And picking the Scion here, Scion doesn't have a lot of horrific matchups. You can just kind of pick to outscale if you, or well, outscale being a relative term, but outscale damage wise if you want with things like the Jax, or you could run something like a Yorick that can just abuse the potential weaker lane matchup that Scion would give you.
Yeah, we hard to see the Alistar locked in for Jojo as well. Again, the most played support by both Curry and Jojo throughout this split. So again, highly contested picks taken away. We'll see what the final is going to be. It is going to be the jungle. We didn't actually end up having that much top lane focus in the bans as I expected. The jungle was the focus role by FourY4, and they have almost pushed Karaoke. We've threatened the dreaded Vi, the even more dreaded Shyvana. But it looks like we might be locking in the Vi right here. So a classic matchup here. And Karaoke, I would say he has rehabilitated the image of his Vi a fair amount this split. I mean, he'd put it on an MVP split, so he's kind of frying on everything, to be honest. And it's not going to be the Jace. We're going to the Camille. So this is a little bit of a tank buster. The true damage is massive later on. Plus, it gives them hard dive as opposed to going into more poke with the Jhin.
Yeah, and that's Gigo's signature Camille, right? That was one of the champions he made his name on.
Yeah, yeah. If you've been watching CBLOL a long time, for me, Gigo on Camille, it's like a warm blanket. It reminds me of simpler times. It is like a warm blanket on a cold day when you get under those hotel blankets, right? You get in the hotel bed where it is like just ungodly. It's a freaking icebox in that hotel room, but you are under a veritable mountain of blankets and pillows, and you just disappear into the night. That is what FourY4 are hoping is going to happen. But you bring up the tank buster thing, I think that's really spot on, because you're gonna have to deal with this Sion somehow. And I think even more interestingly is how paiN are gonna play out these team fights, because you've also got two pretty mobile carries in the Ahri and the Ezreal. So how can Wiser kind of like, put out the little fires that FourY4's gonna try to put up to exit them in the back line?
Hold up, you're talking a warm blanket because you like Gigo and you're liking FourY4. As a paiN fan, that's a blazing fire that's gonna burn everything down. He's not putting out fires. He is the fire for paiN. paiN has to put out the fires later on, and I think that starts right from the early game. Shut Gigo down, because like you said, if he skills up, there's no good answer to the split push. Ahri would also kind of struggle into that Camille as the game goes on. If you can't one-shot her, can't deal with her in one rotation, well, her cooldowns... She's a lot better at dealing with her cooldowns than Ahri is.
Yeah, it is going to be probably naturally around the top lane early on. FourY4, they always tend to focus on this top side. If you just look at Grubs taken versus Dragons taken, FourY4 do invest time up to that top lane. paiN much more focused on the Dragons themselves. They do tend to be a little skewed on that side, but FourY4, the onus is on them to come up with a plan. They have been knocked back by paiN once in the winners finals. They were knocked back in the groups. They need to try and show us something new here today as we get onto the Rift for the grand finals. Game number 1, paiN versus FourY4. Let's see how it all lays out.
And it's not that, I mean, this final, or this first game, I think, not to get dramatic, there's a lot riding on this first game, because I really do feel like you've given, kind of a couple comfortable picks. I look at the Ayu for Jhin, I look at the Taliyah for Tuts, and the Camille for the Gigo. These 3 picks, if you can't, at the bare minimum, show something here, we could be in for a very swift series. Because yes, these guys went 5 games 1 split ago, in the position, or in the
They went 3 games
in between phase.
Elimination.
Yeah, exactly. We're still clearly getting our legs under us here, as you see a deep ward dropped there by FourY4. But it was 3-1 last time around, right? And paiN have kind of dispatched everybody, and FourY4 have dispatched everyone not named paiN. So this is, if this game doesn't go to plan, I fear we could be in for a really swift series, but FourY4 put themselves in a really good spot here.
Agreed, and I think FourY4, their composition's what they've come to like to play over the split. It's a lot of damage, it's a lot of agency, not necessarily the best team fight. Like, yes, they can team fight front to back, you can create space for Jhin, for Ayu to be able to pump out damage. You've got a lot of zone control with the Xinjiao, with the Taliyah, but ultimately it comes down to sort of individual performances, and you're just as happy, if not happier, to skirmish than you are to full 5v5 team fight. Whereas for paiN, their composition feels like they're a more typical game 1 draft, where you've got a little bit more risk to it. It's not your typical front-to-back team fight that paiN excel at. Yes, you've got Sion on the tank. Yes, you've got Titan on an AD carry that can pump out a lot of damage. But with the Vi and Ahri, that's a bit more pick-focused. And while it is the meta, it's not necessarily been the best style for Roamer or Karaoke specifically. They have shown us they can do it, though. And this game, I just think back to when these 2 teams last met in the upper finals. Roamer's Ahri was huge to keep paiN in the game. Romazari was also huge to lose that game.
It was an impactful pick for both sides. You know, it was very important for the outcome of that game. We can say that much at least. And if FourY4 we're maybe expecting them to try and enable Gigo to win his lane and carry through there. We're maybe expecting Io and Jojo to continue struggling, as has been the story. If that leaves the mid lane, I think the Tuts and Roamer matchup is very interesting to me, as Tuts is the only player that made it into the first All-Pro team that is not on paiN. It was the only one that made it up there, and it is indicative of his performance. A massive comeback year he is having on FourY4 after some down times, and, you know, opening up on this Taliyah. To be honest, guys, this Ahri Taliyah matchup in mid is like the two most boring champions of all time, just matched up into each other. But this is the thing that Tuts has done. He did it with Ahri, and he's doing with Taliyah now, is he plays the most boring champion of all time and just shows how useful it can be and shows why these teams keep playing it, much to my chagrin, as Tatu is looking to get this top lane sorted out. FourY4 know which side their bread is buttered. They're looking for Sion. Wise has got no mana, no HP. First blood gifted to Camille as well.
Oh! Jojo, almost.
Just as we see top lane going well, we see bot lane going bad. This is more or less as expected. Karaoke is on this bot side. Doesn't have the ult, of course, yet, but the HP isn't looking too good for FourY4.
They can die.
Curry, if he can find a route, Titan with a bit more poke. Io and Jojo, they pop the heal early just to step back, and they will not leave the window open for a dive, but that was getting a bit dicey for them.
Yeah, everything, it was... Jojo, just get that annoying thing out of here. I love the helicopter Nico. It is funny, and the observers in LTA North just became like obsessed with it, and so we just followed Nico around. Oh my goodness, hold up, seismic shove lands. All right, we'll be okay. But yeah, no, but they did get both those summoners, right? That bot lane for FourY4 before that fight broke out, and everything was relying on those tangle barbs. If the tangle barbs hit, you've got a shot, right? And obviously, if you're Titan on the Ezreal, you've got your Arcane Shift. And speaking of comfort champions, Titan's Ezreal, right? This feels like a sort of a composition that you... Not a composition, actually, no. For Titan, this feels like something that you have drafted to be like, all right, I'm going to show you actually why this could be the most one-sided matchup in this game, and I'm just going to flex on you. And again, into no real tanks, right? It's just Alistar with an ult. That's it. As we get a replay here, ay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Tatu special, right? He's done it multiple times where he just flashes over walls, and nobody expects it because you usually hold that flash for the actual engage, but Tatu uses it to tactically position. And for Wiser, yeah, you can see he actually had a ward in the Tribush.
In the Tribush, yeah.
Yeah, Tatu didn't go by the Tribush. He hopped right over that wall. Wiser wasn't expecting, he pushed up really, really far. And I really like the call when we were talking about how big an impact Gigo will have in this game on this Camille. We said, hey, you need to shut this Camille down early so she doesn't snowball, doesn't take over the game. Well, the inverse is true as well. For FourY4, if they can get Gigo ahead, then he can be the carry. We've seen him do it on Yorick. We've seen him do it on Jax. We've seen him do it on multiple champions, and especially between Gigo and Tatu. These two players, when Tatu came on, Gigo gave him some advice to say, hey, Tatu, if you want to make yourself known, if you want to be the next big guy, you've got to make plays. And Tatu is willing to do just that and camp Gigo's lane.
He comes with the second play, this time getting the flash away from Wiser, and it's such a clear strategy. The investment is so strong into this topside. Karaoke is going to use the freedom to step onto this first Hextech Drake. They don't really have fullest prio in mid, but they certainly have it in bot lane, and Tuts maybe put himself in a bad spot. Walks into a charm flash in from Curry. Roamer with the ult charge, just trying to get that last tick of damage down. It's not enough for Taliyah, but they get the flash, and that is for sure the Dragon gone now.
Yeah, there's no way. Karaoke, the best he could do, I think, for that top lane now is like, he got the Scuttle Crab, and he's like, look, now it's just on you. Like, you're going to have to kind of survive this, right? You're playing Sion with Grasp.
Yeah.
You know your job. Just don't get fisted, and we've got a shot in this one. And let Titan kind of take the game into the late game. But this is a dream start right now if you're FourY4. This is absolutely phenomenal. All this pressure going onto Wiser, and Gigo, he's making the most of it so far, right? Up, actually down CS. I did not expect that. So again, credit to Wiser, right? He knows how to lose gracefully. He's never that has been a hallmark of Wiser his entire tenure on paiN. You can have him be the hard carry, but ever since you've gotten Titan in, a lot of that burden has shifted off of him. Wiser is just more like, look, I will neutralize and I will team fight well. If you need me to play the Gwen, sure, I can pop it, right? But it's things like the Gnar, it's things like the Sion, a little less so, but he has both sides of that. But as paiN have taken on, hold up.
Oh, Jojo, oh dear. Well, not really a way out of that one. Sneaking into the lane as Karaoke, pops the ult for it as well, but that's a clean kill.
And as you're saying, FourY4, right? The whole thing about Weiser just needs to survive. And the focus for paiN has always been somewhere else on the map. It's always been about this bot lane, about Titan, about this massive shot caller, goat of the region, you know, face of the team, if you will. And Titan's actually the second newest member on this team, along with Curry, besides Roamer, who just joined them this split. And for FourY as well, it's an interesting change from how they've traditionally played against paiN. Usually FourY is the one focused on objectives, whereas paiN's the one focused on getting early ganks, and then once they've got that gold lead, they're able to snowball. So for paiN, I still feel like things are according to plan, whereas for FourY, yeah, they're doubling down. They need to continue shutting Weiser down. They need to continue finding leads.
They're trying to, but Titan round the corner has a lot of damage to offer. Weiser, again, with no mana. He doesn't have the ult, used it defensively, and the rest of paiN pile into topside. So Jojo's maneuver will not find a kill for Gigo. Tattoo's going to start up the Void Grubs instead.
Okay.
Now FourY rocks up into the top river, and paiN, they've already blown a couple of ultimates, but a TP coming in for a flank. This could get pretty dangerous. FourY, they have to go. They've got to find the engage. They're onto Curry with the Crescent Guard out. Lovely route up into a seismic shove knockback. They're going to find this sneaker, but Ayu is under pressure. Roamer was hunting him down into the pit. The Ahri will find it eventually, but another kill into Karaoke. paiN has Weiser now trying to hold the front line. Titan just pumping out Q after Q. A reset on the ult for Roamer. Gets into one. Jojo dropping low. Doesn't have the ult yet.
Hopped in!
Though before he goes down. In goes Tattoo. Tuts as well. Firing off the machine gun rocks as Roamer looks for another charm but can't find it. FourY scrap their way out of such a tough fight in the river.
Man, oh man, that was not the fight that I think paiN fans would have wanted. Whether you're in the arena or in the green screen arena, RMC, that would actually look. I was ready to give Weiser a ton of credit because he made life for 80% of that fight. He made life so easy for Roamer and Titan. But it simply was not enough, and you have to give FourY a ton of credit. They soaked the pressure and played that fight so patiently.
And paiN at least get one of the grubs, so they don't give all three over. But I feel like the events prior to the fight were an issue. Weiser just used the ultimate top lane to escape. So yes, he TPs off screen into this fight, but he doesn't have the ultimate. He doesn't have the big CC they needed. And I'm looking at Ayu being able to just pump out a lot of the damage. He survived initially, and Roamer went to hunt Ayu, but took forever. He missed a lot of the skill shots. So a lot of this fight is a 3v5 for the most of it. Titan, Weiser, Curry, they did a ton of work on this side. But look at Titan. This was where disaster happened. Titan dashes inwards into a whole bunch of melee champions into the middle of a minefield. And the moment that happened, you're just like, oh, well, we've got Red Titan back again. Like the guy who dashes forward into really awkward positions. And because of that, FourY fans rejoice. paiN fans are silent right now in the stands.
That is the Titan special on Ezreal, no less. Tattoo going in for some damage onto Roamer, who doesn't quite have the ult, has to use his flash instead. Another lovely little punish from the FourY jungle, but the Ezreal E forward for Titan is the Titan on Ezreal, but normally it is a little better judged by that, a little later in the game when its cooldowns are a little lower, teams in a bit of a better spot, so not the best start for the paiN bot laner. And Ayu, as you said, I love that we flagged that up as well. The one thing for me that really symbolizes Ayu's Jhin is this guy lives forever on this pick. He's the safest Jhin player I have ever seen in terms of not getting caught out. This champ has no dashes, but Ayu does not get caught. He's still getting aggressed on the mid lane, but it was just a tale of 280 carries there, right? Ayu wastes all the time, does the damage, and does what he needs to do, and Titan eats forward and dies. It was a bit of a rough one.
I just want to highlight too, Ayu didn't have the Swifties that he has now. So now he's got the dashing shoes. It's going to be even harder to lock him down.
Yeah, absolutely. And now FourY heading into the spotline river. paiN coming around the corner as well. We might see them continue to try and keep this pace high. FourY surely don't want to give away another dragon. Early engaged by Gigo, starting to chop down the tree that is Weiser, but they're going to hold fast and fight with a vision for a little longer.
Yeah, and again, and FourY have a really opportunity here to add on to their lead. Let's see, and FourY's objective control has been stellar. We'll get into that a little bit more, and it really rears its ugly head, or its beautiful head. But here comes
Weiser though.
Oh, they found someone in the pit. There goes the dragon, but Tuts has been eliminated first. That's not what you want to see if you're FourY. Weiser is low but not dead, and Tattoo abandoned. The Jhin ultimate is called. Second kill already secured. The charm cancels the Jhin ultimate. It's a double for paiN, so 2 for the dragon in the end.
Man, did they need that. And now you've got two kills onto Titan of all people. You grab yourself, you know, okay, you lose the dragon, whatever, 1-1 on that front. It will be an Earth's Mountain Soul. Thank you, Brain. A little bit later. But as we get into this replay, RMC, what do you know? Weiser's ultimate actually really didn't do a ton, to be fair, because Gigo kind of immuned it, but...
Fair enough, but you could see FourY4 backed off on it, and that was the game plan for paiN. This was exactly what they were looking for up at the Grubs, which is Weiser gets in there, tries to disrupt the fight as much as possible, is an absolute unit to stop the rest of them coming in, and then paiN just kind of roll the rest of the fight over where your carries aren't being threatened and they can position for damage instead of survivability. And we said this before, and it will keep coming up, right? The fact that FourY4 tends to like to focus on objectives. paiN wants the early gold. So paiN doesn't care about losing that Ocean Drake early. They care about getting the kills off the back of it, get themselves a gold lead. 700 isn't that significant, but if they had gotten both, probably about 1,005 at this point. And then with that gold lead, really abuse the mid game. Fight for those third Drakes, fight for those Heralds. And without that gold lead, I'm actually a little bit curious to see if paiN can continue to find that success they found in the fight. It's kind of a 50-50, right? 1-1 fight, 1-loss fight for both teams so far.
Yeah.
And when Titan gets on that, when he completes that Mana Moon, I mean, then you talk about, excuse me, talk about abusing the mid game for paiN Gaming. Yeah. This is where, again, you've got to just kind of get this ball rolling because, I mean, look, Titan has more picks that I trust him on than IU, with the greatest of respect to IU, but Titan, I mean, the guy's got 5 titles for a reason. He could do it on just about everything, but I know it would do wonders for the vibes kind of on both sides if he was able to get a win on this Ezreal. And now with first big items coming through here, you want to see paiN pick those fights as they stay ahead ever so slightly on those item curves.
You don't trust the IU Bel'Veth?
Good lord.
Well, you know,
that's a deep
game
cut.
5 fearless pick. That's a game 5 fearless pick if I ever saw one.
Sure.
Is the IU Bel'Veth. I'm sure Jojo can bring out the Skarner support for that one, or
Tuts can AD carry that game. He can pick the Draven.
What a cursed lane, dude. IU Jojo Bel'Veth Skarner bot, get me out, please no.
Why not? Tut's going to crash in this bot wave. Jojo shepherding that wave in. We saw Karaoke looking for a potential catch with Roma down there, but it was spotted up by wards, and Tuts kept his flash at the end of that fight. Didn't have a chance to press a button. That's just how good that pick was, the Viori combination catching him in the pit. But he does now have that safety still on deck. Would love to probably step away and finish off that Archangel stuff before another blowout happens. And we'll see what the next move is going to be from paiN, right? As you said, RMC, they're the ones who want to accrue early gold. They want to try and abuse this mid game. The plates are now down. They've all got their ultimates. They're starting to hit level 11s. They're going to be really deadly at this point in the game.
Yeah, and with Herald spawning in 20 seconds, that has traditionally been the focus of these teams. And right now, paiN is positioning for it, right? They've got the lane swaps, both mid laners in the bot lane. paiN pushing out the mid lane with the advantage that Titan has right now in terms of being able to shove. IU just went back and picked up a collector as well. So FourY4 know that the next big fight is coming up right now, and they are getting in position. Tuts actually with an early TP into mid lane.
Let's to try and control this lane. paiN, again, dancing around this vision. The Herald might end up being the flashpoint here, but paiN decidedly more in control of the area at this point. Nobody's on the bot side. FourY4 have committed the summoners. They're going to try and forge a path into the river right here. But Curry is ready and waiting with a root, trying to poke them down. Charm from Rome onto Tatu, knocks him down to half before they can even get the fight started. It is tough out here for FourY4, and they turn and run.
Yeah, congrats. Again, Romer on the Ahri. If you were here the last time paiN Gaming played a best of 5 with Romer on the Ahri, you know, you win, it giveth and it taketh away, but he won that fight with 2 abilities. Just hit the charm, get all your damage out, and then congratulations, paiN get a free objective out of it.
And I think I'm most appreciative about how measured paiN is approaching this objective, right? Like paiN, we've criticized them throughout the split as being a little bit sloppy in the early game. Sometimes they don't do anything, and then they just show up to a fight and just go, hey guys, we're here to party. We didn't send out the invites, but we're here, right? And we didn't set up properly. There's no chairs, there's no drinks, whatever, BYO drink, right? But this time they actually set up properly. They push out the mid lane. They got all the vision down, and because of the poke that the Ezreal, Nico, and Ahri are giving them, when Tatu gets chunked, he can't just walk in there anymore. He'd get melted before he can get it. So paiN get the objective for free without contest. And now the next question becomes, how do you use this Herald? Which lane are you looking for? Weiser is just getting bullied out in the top lane right now. Multiple people are looking to dive, but he's so tanky, I don't think you can dive anymore. He's walking out.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the point of this is, honestly. Weiser is very, very tanky, wasting all the time in the world. The Herald's taken one tower. It's going to find a second, and Sion, I think, is happy to just stand here and waste everybody's time. Another death doesn't change that much, but this is going to be 2 towers and a dive into Tuts right now into the charm once again. He still can't flash away. This Vi Ahri combo is nailing to the wall time and time again.
Okay, so I guess that's why Weiser went out. I don't think he needed to dash out to enable this play. Like, I think he could have just waited up there. Jojo didn't have teleport. Gigo was going to sit up there in order to try and facilitate that play. But because Weiser did that, it's 2 turrets gone. Mid-outer is as good as dead right now. Minion's able to finish that off. A ton of pressure. And remember what we were talking about for paiN? Wanting early gold? They just tripled their lead from plus 600 to plus 1,800 with third Drake in pocket.
Yeah, that play was absolutely nasty, and this is the kind of lethal thing, again, that we were hoping for the best version of paiN to be really lethal in this mid-game, but because this roster has been playing together for so long, bar roamer. But mid lane nowadays is almost like, especially when you're playing something like the Ahri, right? I mean, it's almost like it can be a little bit plug and play. We're going to get another replay here and see exactly how this went down. This was some of the swiftest 1,000 gold you will ever see. paiN knowing exactly how strong they are and executing it. That is really difficult to do, man. And you see our boy there in the front row. For those who don't know, he's in the front row of every single paiN Gaming match up there down there in the CBLOL arena in Sao Paulo. But it was absolutely lethal. And now paiN accelerating, right? And Weiser, yeah, that ult was just kind of like, hey, guys, it felt like, hey, look at me, don't look over there. No, really, don't look over there, or I'll ult you, right? And then once like the ult goes in, I think that sets off like a tiny bit of like a, does he know something we don't? Ah, shoot, they're destroying our bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be called the Unstoppable Onslaught. The nickname was the paiN Train, and that feels that feels really on the nose when paiN Gaming's using it as a massive like waving flag to distract you, and the real paiN Train was shelling the bot lane instead.
Yeah, they didn't even get that top lane tower at the end of all of that. FourY, they kill Weiser, they don't get the objective, they lose 2 towers in bot, 1 in mid, now 2,000 gold behind, and it's not soul point for paiN at least, but Tuts has really got to get on top of these Ahri combos, because twice now he's been caught out with his flash up, and they need to, he's previously been, you know, such a solid rock for FourY, he's been such a high performer, but right now, he is a little bit disrespectful perhaps of the paiN counterparts who have now managed to get this lead. He's trying to get some revenge perhaps, but it will just be ult for ult trade in top lane.
Again, I mean, paiN not getting a ton from bottom lane this time around or anywhere else on the map, but they're slowly just chipping away at the map. I mean, you've got the bot lane is as good as toast at this point, so now you've got this long lane to play around. You could send Roamer down there, you could send Weiser down there eventually. Weiser right now locked into top lane. I am curious how they play this long lane out, but when you've broken down the mid tier 1, you don't have to commit to that, and thank goodness, because if paiN found themselves where, this is kind of the only way we have to accelerate the game, look, I trust paiN to do it, but this is going absolutely swimmingly for them. You've got that's all you want in life and in League of Legends. You just want options. Makes everything easier.
For sure. That long bot lane you mentioned though, FourY4, that does worry me a little bit for paiN, because Weiser can survive, or he can distract and he can hold a lane, but to push up right now is going to be an issue that would overextend him, and Gigo is still going to be able to win out the extended 1v1 where he can chase you down. It's worth noting as well, Gigo didn't opt for sort of tank busting items. He started with the Ravenous Hydra instead.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, so he just wants to be able to push in and threaten turrets against Weiser, or when Weiser's not there. The moment Weiser's distracted, Gigo is going to look for a split push and get some gold, get some turret. But for FourY, I'm still a little bit concerned as to how they're trying to get back into this game. They've fallen behind, and they need to play for side lanes. Tuts needs to use those sort of Weaver's Wall a little bit more effectively. It's just really hard against a defensive Scion, and if Weiser just plays it safe like he is, again, he's not pushing out that bot lane whatsoever right now as he's trying to hold it as long as he can, then where do FourY go from here? If you try and team fight, I don't fancy our odds down 2,000 gold up against a team with arguably better team fighting. This is not a team fighting comp from paiN, but it feels like he has more team fighting tools than FourY's composition at least.
At this point in the game, for sure, you do not want to be going toe-to-toe with paiN right now, right? We are 21 minutes in. We are at the peak of paiN's comp's kind of deadliness. 2-item Ezreal, 2-item Ahri, right? You do not want to be any part of that. Let them dash themselves against the Atakan if you wish, and I think that's what FourY are trying to do. So they're keeping an eye on it, but they're not committing. paiN now are trying to find another way in, and they might have found one onto Gigo. He's already used his hook shot, has to ult onto Titan, but Weiser's around the corner. He should be able to get to safety right now, so Gigo's surviving in the side lane, and FourY will at least get to clear out some vision. Maybe they'll finally take a shot at this top lane tower, but to be honest, I doubt it. Roamer is still standing fast on that top side lane. And just RMC, just a quick question. I feel like I've never seen anyone in Pro build Bloodletter's Curse in my whole life, but Roamer has built it second on Ahri. So would you just tell us a little bit about what this item even does? Because
it's like I've played Arena, I know what this does.
Well, it shreds magic resistance, so it's very effective, especially with the Malignants. We actually used to see it top lane with Rumble, where it's Liandry's into Bloodletters. But now we're seeing it on Ahri a lot. Like I said, with the Malignants, it just shreds so much, and that's precisely what it does. If you don't have magic resistance built, yeah, you're going to get absolutely chunked. That's not even one full combo from Roamer, which has taken most of Tatu's health.
And that's how you build Ahri like an adult. All right, this is the
none of that Roa nonsense.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Well,
FourY4 now have started this up.
Yeah.
And paiN are kind of scrambling, to be honest. They're TPing up. Karaoke and Curry are coming up the rear. Can I get this there in time? They might do the okay. Yeah. I think FourY, if this one, they're going to probably lose some deaths for it, as Tatu has to smite this. He's got it down. Now Jojo is going to run interference. He's going to buy a lot of time with the Unbreakable Will, actually threatening to escape, but the Vial committed. And that's going to flash away as well. Is he going to live this? Surely not. Sion comes in with the ultimate. It's going to crash straight into the front line of Tatu. Now the Curry ultimate. Ayu on the re-engage takes one down. Karaoke round the flank, but Tatu's stopping them up. FourY kiting.
He's finally dead.
They didn't finally lose Jojo, and Karaoke has to flash out. Tuts is low. One more Q will get him. It's a killing spree for Roamer and Tatu and Ayu. Maybe they've stuck in too long.
Oh, no.
They were in, they were out. They could have just made the decision, but they give away more than they had to. Still, it is 1 for 3, but Atakan for FourY and Gigo. If he can get back to this tower, I don't think he's getting out of fear. Maybe Karaoke can stop him.
They want this.
To hold him in place. Gigo is going to try and slip the guards, but there's going to be one more Q coming through. Let's go, Karaoke! Single solo kill for Gigo. Titan misses the Mystic shot. Styled on by the FourY top lane, and that salvages it a fair bit for FourY, to be honest.
Yeah, as that fight was going down, I'm kind of doing like, it's almost like seeing whether that fight was worth in real time was like the first time I tried to do like really amateur card counting in Las Vegas. You got a lot of numbers kind of, okay, +1, -1, +2, -2. The numbers, like the Rolodex is going in my brain. And now you come out with like I think that was, I don't know if worth, but that could have been a disaster for FourY. You heard me just like, no, run away. What are you doing? But now they're going to get the dragon out of this as well. So FourY, they managed to tie it up 2-2 on that front. But man, in the position I'm in, I don't know, man. Maybe this is just my risk-averse personality coming out. If I'm FourY and I get that Atakan, and I send Jojo to be the sacrificial lamb, get out of there!
I'm out of there.
Yeah, I think it goes kind of both ways, right? Like, paiN look for the counter engager to find kills on the back end of it to make it worth. And they dump everything onto Jojo. Jojo almost got away too, which was making me clench incredibly hard. And paiN just full send it. Behind turrets, by the way. That top lane outer turret still standing and healthy. And Gigo gets in there, absolutely melts Curry before Jojo even dies. However, paiN is strong, and that's why we're saying that FourY don't necessarily want this smoke. And to me, whenever Titan starts dashing forward like that, and they're dominating fights, that's when you know paiN is very, very comfortable, very, very strong. This should be where paiN walked off, right? You got the kills, you kind of answered the Atakan, but they end up overchasing and gave Gigo extra kills as well. And that's, I think, things kind of went wrong, and they lost tempo. So FourY was the first ones to get to that 4th Drake, which should have been paiN's. They get that for free, and now they get to kind of reset and get around this Baron setup as well. And paiN, they're not really at the advantage they should be at this point in the game.
FourY is taking a lot of damage. Roamer doing a whole lot of work for paiN in this game. 3-0 and 4, chunking out Tatu before every single play, and paiN likely to continue pressuring this top lane turret. Gigo returning to the 1v1 against Weiser, and FourY, yes, they got the Atakan, yes, they got a couple of kills in the backside, but ultimately, they are further down in gold than they were before. And Tatu threatening with the engagement. Ayu pops the ultimate, in fact, and just completely destroys him. Beautiful pick from FourY, and the tower's going to survive a little longer.
All right. I mean, you'll take that, and now Gigo going to commit everything here onto Weiser. We talked about he's not building like Tank Buster, but clearly he's doing okay here.
Yeah.
Okay, Weiser is going to have to escape to the other side of town. It's going to run over this wave and get some free minions. He's actually probably just going to be fine. Karaoke's on this bot side as well, and Gigo needs to be wary. If this takes too much longer, it's got to get tough for him. Misses the hook shot. Just walk out of there, my guy. You got what you needed. Step away, and he has chosen safety in life this time.
Yeah, really well played from Gigo. He knows what his job is, right? Like, he's just buying time down here as much as possible. Whenever you see Weiser start playing aggressively, you know somebody's going to be on their way, because if not, Sion can't match the Camille. And Gigo's second item is complete, the Trinity Force. That's the item that you pick to kind of win out those 1v1 trades. The Hydra, that was to push and to sustain through your lane. Trinity Force, that's when you start to win. And with 2.4k in pocket as well, it's getting kind of tough for Weiser to actually be able to hold in that lane. Anytime FourY sees everybody else and somewhere else on the map, Gigo at the time can start pushing very, very comfortably, can start chunking away those turrets. So paiN, they're kind of past that huge power point. They are still stronger in a team fight, but they need to be a bit more careful about how they're setting up for team fight, how much time is spent by players in lanes not getting them advantages. And if we're talking about trying to get advantages in lane now, which lanes give you an advantage too, right? It feels like Ayu's caught up with Titan. Sure, Titan's still up gold, but Ayu has kill threat, as we just saw. Weiser's not winning that one out. Deep. And I don't know if Roamer beats Tuts.
I don't know if they beat them 2v4 or maybe even 2v5 RMC, I'll tell you that much. As the full rotation for paiN, they are just dropping Earth and the moon and the sun on their head in the bot lane. And fair enough, why not? Fear laners very overextended in bot side, and a TP back to mid saves the tower there too.
Yeah, that one surprised me a little bit, because I was about to launch into something giving FourY an immense amount of credit from playing from behind, especially into a team like paiN that know how to accelerate a lead. This isn't the Loud, this isn't like, old Loud where you come into a game down, into a 25-minute mark down as they start the Baron here, 15 gold or, 15,000 or 1,500 gold, and then you just find a way to team fight your way out of trouble. No, paiN play really solid League of Legends, and FourY, they've been chipping away at this, but they've got no shot at this Baron. But it's not going to stop Ayu from trying.
No, he's going to fire the shots in. Tatu's been forced out by Weiser. They're just going to back away. And that is a massive, costly mistake from FourY. We'll see a replay of how this worked out. I don't know for RMC if they just stepped over a ward or something, or who knows what the plan was here.
Well, Tuts is almost collateral damage, right? Like, Tuts was there to try and reinforce Gigo on that particular push, and I think FourY just lost track of where everybody was on the map. We were just saying Gigo was playing really, really well, knowing when he's safe and when he's not. Wait, does that say
Dance more Tatu, I think, is what it says.
But that's a paiN jersey.
Yeah, exactly. It's sarcastic. It's like, all right, keep dancing, buddy.
Yeah, keep dancing, buddy.
I mean, to be fair, Tatu used to be paiN Gaming Academy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has some paiN fans there cheering him on. And his dance moves are really good too. I'm actually really glad Tatu came in just as Dinkido left, because now, like, Dinkido used to have dance moves, and now we still got Tatu.
Yeah, he was Mr. TikTok Dance.
Yeah.
So now Tatu has really taken his mantle of, like, I'm going to keep getting second place, but I'm going to keep on dancing.
paiN again, looking for a deep engage. Very deep as Karaoke's dragged back by Tuts, and Tatu holding down the front line right now. Ayu rotating over, but Kuri's going to keep locking down Xin Zhao. paiN taking down the FourY jungler, and again, FourY, they just get walked on by paiN, and now it's another dragon gone.
I'm sad to say, the only dancing I'm seeing Tatu doing right now is the coffin dance.
There's a joke there, and I can't think of it, but little by little, yeah, exactly. Man, FourY, no, it's a couple costly mistakes, right? And paiN are gonna amplify these mistakes. They're gonna take these small windows and blow them open. And I mean, part of it is, yes, you give paiN immense amounts of credit, but these are just poorly timed mistakes from FourY. These last two critical blunders. Oh my goodness, hold up, Kuri.
Oh, we're going deep. We're going for Kuri. They've eliminated one, that's for sure, but the rest of paiN coming around the corner again, and Tuts trying to escape. Gigo blocking the Mystic shots. Jojo looking for an angle. Ayu's ult has already completed, and Gigo, surely he's not going to be able to get away with this one. The ults from Vianari will lock him down. And now the mid lane push from paiN once again. Remember, they're wearing the Baron. This is a perfect position for them to keep pushing.
Yeah, they've got a minute to go, and forward, going to what you're saying about the timing from FourY, yeah, they sat back, and they're just not watching who's where. They're getting picked at time and time and time again. Now, Jojo has to burn the Unbreakable just to walk away from this. That turret is about to go down, and Tatu diving in again?
He's looking for more, threatening onto Titan, pops the Crescent Guard to try and step back. Tuts is there ready. They've got the damage dealers, and it's just the turret, not the inhibitor, but it's still more gold in paiN's favor, and FourY seems to have just lost the plot a little bit in this game. They were doing so well. They'd managed to get the Atacon and outplay, but RMC, we'll see a replay of this play again, and I guess they're looking for Titan, but still.
Yeah, so this was after the first pick that came down onto Tatu, and FourY decided, okay, we need to pull the trigger. And the idea, the strategy behind it is sound, but the tactics, not so much. So we've seen before, they've got a lot of damage. They like damage overload comps, and they can absolutely melt people. But even that particular play wasn't perfectly set up, and they couldn't find a single target to unload all the damage into. paiN was able to rotate different members to eat that curtain call, and because of that, they were nice and healthy, and then Gigo had to overextend to try and make that play a success. So again, strategy is sound, tactics is not. FourY needs to make sure that they set up a little bit better, because opportunity cost is high, and paiN is one of the best teams at punishing these sort of mistakes. We talked about how paiN is not loud. They don't just sit back. They will be proactive. And when they've got a lead, they know how to push it. If they've got a lead, if we're in the late game and you make a mistake, that's a trifecta that's just going to give paiN a free win.
And paiN are experienced enough. They're not going to. I mean, I'm not going to say they're not going to blow this lead. Anything is possible. Look, this is Brazilian League of Legends.
Done it before.
But Gigo now going for everything here again, trying to get on the Titan.
Oh, they've got the couldn't quite get the knockback. The shields are there, and Gigo survives at least. But Ayu finds the kill onto the Ezreal. Tuts is surely going to go down here. He's behind the tower. No left for him to go as Roamer looking to extend the play, and a flank coming in from Curry as well. Beautifully locked up by Ayu, but it cannot save Tatu's Xinjiao. Jojo again, surely just going to get picked off, and FourY4, they cannot escape from paiN when the chase is on. The Ezreal by Ari, there's so much mobility. They just cannot get their hands on them, and it's another play, another FourY4 failure, and the inhib is now going to fall as a result.
And you're seeing how much it takes FourY4 to get something done here, right? And how the steps that they're having to take. This is just wallet diff territory. You've got to commit so much to get onto Titan. And look, fair enough, but everybody is playing a blinder right now. Now, like, those types of plays 5 minutes ago, that's great. You can make substantial progress here, but Titan is a full item up on his counterpart. As Gigo, you see the replay here, but everybody's just too far ahead.
Yeah, and what I want to highlight too is that curtain call, that last bullet. Ayu bending it like Beckham around the crowd, just barely tags Titan. But paiN normally in the past, on when Titan was on red, when we had maybe like B-Voy as an AD carry, a lot of times as soon as your AD carries down, paiN kind of back off because they are a very AD-centric carry team. But now you can see the confidence they've built up recently, especially starting from last year. Titan goes down, the team goes, that's fine. We're far ahead enough. We know we're good enough. And they're willing to say, okay, Roamer, you step up as the primary carry. You're the new player, but we trust you. And Roamer goes diving in, pumps out the damage, and paiN just roll that fight with that 6k gold lead that they have. They're able to win that one, set themselves up for a dragon, and Gigo able to dodge out on the cease and desist.
The counter, the ultimates and karaoke has been locked up for a long dang time. Tries to flash away to blast cone to safety. FourY4 cannot get him in their clutches. And they'll have to try again if they want to get in here. The Mountain Soul is on deck in 30 seconds. The ult's again being forced. paiN are so threatening on this front line.
The lead is just way too big, man. I mean, Roamer has a 3k gold lead over his opposite number. And again, I want to give Roamer's build here immense credit. You've got no tanks on the opposite side. Build Ari like an adult. A lot of just flat shred, raw damage. A 20 stack Medjai's? Yeah. Not for nothing. He is just printing damage right now. And he's going to get, I mean, whatever this fourth item is, or this fifth item, I should say, probably going to be a death cap because you don't need the extra pen. A voice staff on top of this is just overkill. But now FourY4 starting up the Baron.
Yeah, and this one's a desperation Baron. Weiser's just trying to use the unstoppable onslaught to kind of get in there, but he's already zoned them out. And look at the damage they're taking. Remember, FourY4 doesn't have a true tank. And Jojo's the tankiest guy. He wasn't in the pit.
Oh, this is brutal, guys. This is brutal watching paiN just push them out here. Pincering around the back of the pit as well, and FourY4, they're losing health left and right. They've set up the Baron already, and paiN, they don't seem super committed to it, but they are surely going to stick this one. They may be looking to see if they have a way to keep Tatu out there as 5k HP. Ayu drops the ultimate as well. Only landing shots with the Siren right now. A Gigo flank behind. It's getting a little sketchy for paiN. They peel away.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they didn't risk it all right there, but they certainly thought about it. I mean, yeah, but I don't even know how to, it feels like I'm trying to say the same thing, a few times over. It's just as paiN, they're going to get the Mountain Soul here. This could be the final nail in the coffin. It's just so difficult with this very kind of, this bursty composition that FourY4 have into the Mountain Soul. It does get negated just ever so slightly. It's not an Ocean Soul. I think that would have been absolutely deadly because if you can't finish off the fight, then you're just cooked. And FourY4 playing this kind of all or nothing style. But at the end of the day, this is kind of what you've got to do now. Tuts in with the Weaver's Wall. Maybe they can get on a Weiser here.
Okay. Let's see what we can do with the front line, I suppose. Mountain Soul and all. Weiser is getting chunked down, but the TP's coming in. The rotations of paiN are there. They'll find the Scion, but what can they do after it? And Roamer, caught on the front line, needs to survive this one. He's pretty important. Gets over the wall, goes golden, and Tatu looking to finish him off as Tuts is barely alive. Ayu takes the credit. Jin is miles away still, and now paiN coming in with the counter kills, but Gigo, it's not done yet. Tatu flashing over the wall. paiN in a bit of trouble right now. Double for Titan, but can he keep his team alive?
Can't get out.
The route from Ayu and Gigo with the dive. FourY4 pulled a crazy miracle fight out of thin air.
They could win here. I think this is game.
Are we ending?
The response time is way too big. Dude, what the hell did we just watch? Gigo is losing his mind in the player camps right now.
20 seconds. 20 seconds wiser. Curry, they have the wave.
They're just setting-
They've
yeah.
got the
Yeah, they're
damage
setting it.
dealers. They've got all the AD they need. Just don't die to tower shots, guys. That is crazy. What a game one turnaround. Furia, I thought they tossed it. I thought they'd thrown it all away in the first game, blokes. But my word, they lock up the first win. And what a statement to make, Furia. We know they never go down easy. They fought back so hard, they just turned around and won it.
Dun Satatu. He's not going to dance after the first game because that is going to age very poorly. But damn, what the hell is even that? What did we just watch? Trajan, to your point, it looked like it was Furia trying the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? But it starts off with that
One more time.
Yeah, exactly. One
more
last time. That just Oracle-esque wall from Tuts to get on there, and Gigo full committing onto Weiser. That's the big barrier, right? Because you saw it when Weiser has enough time to just soak up, right? Even though, like you said, Jin was 3 screens away to start it off, but it didn't matter. That was unbelievable.
And FourY4, that's the problem right there. It's not one more time old men. It's young men try again, right? And that's what Fury do. They never give up. They just keep trying all the way to the end. And I do firmly believe that paiN just kind of got caught off guard, right? It was a 6,000, 7,000 goal lead that just kept growing, right? It just felt like a GG go Knicks angle. Like, just forfeit. The game's done. We just need to run this, carefully. Just, hey, don't throw at Baron. Do the Dragon. Just don't give space for Fury to make some sort of play. And because of that, they weren't set up. They weren't ready to collapse and back up Weiser quite as well as they did in the mid game. And just like that, hey, it's late into the game, right? With that much damage, with the damage overload comps that Furia loves, yeah, you just get picked up. It's game over. And for paiN, definitely a bit of a shocker, but they shouldn't get too shook up. Like, their strategy worked fine.
Yeah,
paiN has not won a single clean series this year. So this is just kind of according to plan as far as they're concerned. You're allowed one mistake, you've made it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Go next.
Yeah, this is a shake-off angle. I was ready to come out of that game going, Furia, this is a shake-off angle, right? You were doing perfectly fine, and you had a completely crazy botched idea in the bot lane that just lost control of the game, right? And then you tried to force plays, and it didn't work, right? You couldn't get back into it. You just made one bad call, it happens, and you got snowballed on, fine. But they, as you say, just kept hammering it again and again until they find the perfect scenario. And they get to walk away having squeaked out a win. They need to be thanking their lucky stars that they get to walk away with this, and paiN are the ones with the mental damage potentially to fight through now. So that is not the way I thought we'd start off today, I'll be honest, lads. I think we all predicted that paiN would win when we did the podcast episode about this, but we all would give... Oh no, we didn't all give Fury a game. RMC, did you drop
I went 3-0
a cheeky 3-0, so... Who looks like a chump now, unfortunately? paiN's in the dirt, everybody. With that, let's go to a break, and we'll be back with game number 2 before you know it.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hopefully you've gotten your water and your Pedialyte and a cookie for some blood sugar purposes. I'm FourY4. That is still Trajan. That is still RMC. At least I believe that is still RMC, and not the ghost of RMC that has passed away after watching. I mean, like, I wish you guys could get, like, a look behind the camera sometimes to watch RMC's face as he... Look, RMC is a consummate professional. But sometimes during these games, right, where you let it slip is where the audience can't see. And that's in his facial expressions sometimes. Before we get RMC's unbridled reaction to that, we do want to take a look at, I mean, as Trajan said during break, I mean, that fight kind of ended with Gigo killing Weiser. We talked about his build, the roles that these two players are going to have to play on their teams and in this game. And this is absolutely a matchup to highlight. And it kind of worked out perfectly for FourY in this game. Maybe not perfectly, but it worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some graphics that have been put together to just demonstrate why we're focusing on Gigo as a win condition for FourY, right? Because statistically speaking, this is the guy that outperforms the paiN counterpart realistically. You can see outperforms almost everybody in almost every metric. This has been a very big split for Gigo. He is a variable guy, but his highs are oh so very high. And it's not even been a down split for Weiser. Eye test tells us in some of these stats as well, he's number 1 in KDA. Weiser's not having an off time. He is very, very solid, reliable as ever, but Gigo is rolling heads and rolling sixes so many more times this split, and FourY are able to play around that. We said they're focusing on grubs, they're focusing on top side of the map. They know what pays off when they invest in it. They've got a super solid mid now that Tuts is on form, and Ayu and Jojo are very strong in the 2v2 as well. It's just when you have so much potentially to gain from focusing on top, and let's be honest, so much to lose if you let it go by the wayside, it makes sense for FourY to play this way.
Yeah, and if you look at the KDA, what's interesting to me as well is that Weiser actually has a higher KDA than Gigo. But it's the way you calculate KDA, right? It's kills plus assists divided by total deaths. So the fact that Weiser has less deaths is why his KDA is higher. But Gigo is beating him in kills and contesting him in assists as well. So Gigo is having a disproportionate impact, I feel like, compared to what the rest of the team often is able to kind of pull out. And the other thing I'm looking at is goal difference at 15, right? Remember, it's playoffs. There are only 6 teams. Weiser actually has the lowest goal differential at 15, so he's not winning lanes. And against other top laners, fine, right? Like, Weiser will have tons of impact later on. But against Gigo, who likes carries, giving him 600 gold at 15-minute advantage, not to mention whatever else Gigo can kind of scrape by on his own, that's kind of a recipe for disaster. And that makes this series interesting because suddenly top lane counterpick might actually be more important than meta OP champions.
And now with that win, paiN Gaming get to choose what side they're on. And they, sort of like you said, they might give themselves that red side because the way, it's not, I don't think it's going to be as top lane goes, so this game goes, because there are so many more moving parts, right? We didn't, Romer, he sticks out sometimes when he has a tough game, but he had a phenomenal game on the RE. He played super clean. He hit his charms, right? I think back to that one fight where they forced FourY off the Herald with 2 abilities, EQ, touches at half HP. Try again in 5 minutes, right? But yeah, just RMC, I'm going to come to you. Zooming out, what the hell happened there? Let's dissect it just a little bit more, because it really did feel like paiN were, it went from the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, to if at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
Yeah.
The thing is, if it wasn't you asking me this, FourY4, I'd be assuming you're kind of twisting the knife in my heart right now about what happened.
I am a tiny bit.
Explain exactly
You're
how
supposed to be a
they
paiN fan
lost.
too.
I'm not gonna lie to you,
How did
a little
paiN throw that away? How did paiN ruin that situation, honestly? Can you tell us about that?
Well, okay, to be fair, I do think FourY, like you said, it was touching the right angle and really cutting off Weiser. And unfortunately, I think paiN just thought Weiser was tankier than he was, because his health bars were thick with like 4 Cs at that point. But even that can be cut down with the mixed damage that FourY were able to kind of pull off. And I think for paiN, a lot of it is just making sure you don't slip up and understanding for FourY, until you see their Nexus explode, FourY is not out of it whatsoever. Right? We talked about the fact that Gigo, Titan, Jojo used to be on the same red roster. I want to remind people, back in 2021, 2022, that red roster had a couple of games where they had open, almost an open Nexus, and they came back from those games. And FourY has that attitude. Oh, nice. We've got the post-game charts as well. Thank you, Chippy, our producer, for managing to get us this. Yeah, because you look at the damage numbers, and it looks fine for paiN, right? Like, look at what Titan was doing up, and you compare that to what Ayu was able to do. But it's the Gigo difference, right? And that's why, Trajan, you were highlighting in the green room that, yeah, Gigo is the absolute biggest carry, and that's the big lane mismatch. And we're into draft. paiN had side select, they're still choosing blue side for the meta picks. That still gives Gigo counter pick.
Yes, it does. With Gwen taken away, again, that's gonna basically be auto ban. And into game 5, you still get 5 bans, or do you not?
You do, yep. Under
Okay, yeah. All right, so if we get there, I cannot wait. I really hope we get 5 games of this. Maybe not for RMC's hard health, but for every other reason, I really hope we get 5 games of this. Because, again, we talked about how these teams like to play and what their preferred style is. And I made mention of, like, if this game goes really sideways for FourY4, right? Because it felt like such a comfortable draft for FourY4, and it looked like they played their best card, and they, it was great until it wasn't. This actually could go really poorly for them. But you make reference to that old Red Canids roster as Rumble locked in here B1 immediately. Yep. They didn't want to give Titan and Curry, this sort of snowbally lane. They banned away the Lucian, they banned away the Kalista. They took away that really crucial style of how they like to do things. Instead, they're going all in on Weiser this time around.
I mean, they did put him on the Scion and left him more or less out to dry in game 1. And Weiser did a pretty good job for large parts of that game, but ultimately, Gigo was very far ahead. And I think it's interesting that we're still really heavily focusing out bot laners from both sides. Like the MF and the Lucian have been massive for both of them. IU's got a specialty Varus, Titan's got a specialty Kalista. They're really trying to limit the impact of these bot laners, and the draft is now focusing on the other lanes as well. I don't know if I've seen, it's a very early Galio pick, and we have seen that emerge as a Rumble answer somewhat, but I feel like it doesn't actually win as often as I think the counter picks are supposed to, and it does limit Gigo's impact as a carry, right? Ultimately, this is a utility pick. If you can shut down Weiser, cool, but we're not going to get game-winning assassination from Gigo on Galio.
Yeah, and with the Galio too, I believe it was paiN who played it last week, actually, against FourY4 and lost into the Rumble. Why
I don't think it's that good. I honestly don't think it's that good in this matchup anymore.
It's quite a surprise. I do like the Wukong for Tatu, though. I always prefer Tatu in more damage-oriented picks, and it still has that utility, the team fight strength. And already, FourY4, amazing team fighting with the Annie, with the Wukong, with the Galio. Very telegraphed, not the easiest engages. You kind of have to run at them. But if any CC lands, right, all of it's just going to be able to power in right away. And with the Wukong, you can always use the hero's entrance as well. For paiN, though, opting for the Azir and Poppy, that already tells me right away they want front to back. This is not necessarily the big AoE wombo combo. This is the more have a strong front line, make sure your back line can take its time. And I'm looking for hyper carries from Titan. But I also need to see some sort of engage from Curry that's AoE to try and set up this Rumble, or else Weiser, it's tough for him to do this solo.
Yeah, you're looking at the Rel or the Leona, right? Maybe the Rakan as well, right? It's AoE engaged. It's a little less reliable, but it can be really deadly. Leona has fallen out of favor, but I mean, as a Leona enjoyer myself, that champion's pretty point and click, man. A well-trained monkey can play that champion with the greatest of respect to Leona players all across the world. As more bot lane picks get banned out here, the Ashe taken away, the Caitlyn taken away, right? You still, but because again, Titan is the worrying part of this, right? Curry can draft engage a couple of different ways, so you don't want to focus that out. And again, the Xayah being taken away. They're targeting sort of these hyper carry picks and these oppressive lanes, right? In the Caitlyn, and the Ashe going to be taken away from IU as well. And I was surprised that Weiser, or Gigo rather, locked in that Galio immediately, but to kind of, maybe not supporting your point, but to go off your point, Trajan, they clearly see this as, all right, if we shut down Weiser here early, right? Again, if we can just neutralize, maybe we've got a shot here. That being said, there's a lot more scaling on the side. Taking away the Smolder as well from IU. I really like that because IU, right? He's he's got a bit of the Morteus about him, where if you leave him alone into the late game, he can play safe and just print damage.
This is super interesting too, because usually Senna, right? Smolder is the counter to Senna right now. So if you're banning Smolder, you're kind of telegraphing that I want Senna. But Titan's not a Senna player.
No, if they give Titan Senna, I'm going to be really sad.
That would be very weird. And
so
I was about to say IU is, and I really like the Xayah ban. I think the Xayah ban is very, very good. The Xayah Rakan would go crazy hard into Wukong, Annie, Galio, and they now can't have that, right? So they've gone for the Justana for Titan instead. So Justana Rel, it can absolutely bully the 2v2. Senna is, you cannot go toe-to-toe with this, so I was once again likely going to be pushed around here. But Senna doesn't care. That's kind of what Senna does in pro. Like, it can bully solo queue, but like realistically, it does not win the 2v2 more often than not. And it looks like Jojo is gonna maybe fulfill FourY4's prophecy and offer up the Leona for judgment today. But I like the dive threat. Senna is good dive setup. It's got good healing. It has CC of its own. It's got the ult, of course, that goes over it. So I really like the way FourY4 rounded out their draft. I think Titan and Curry can still punish on a 2v2, which is nice, but I do think that FourY4 managed to finesse the second rotation pretty well. And it's going to be really potentially... For me, I think this kind of revolves largely around if Galio's actually a Rumble counter in this game, because if Weiser goes crazy, that's going to be really, really tough for FourY4. But if Gigo actually neutralizes it, then I think they might be sort of chilling, to be honest.
RMC, is there enough damage in this FourY4 composition? Because in the late game, again, Titan on, like, Tristana's just like the Ezreal, you know, the Ezreal at home sort of thing, right? You can play that Titan style really aggressively. There is so much damage in this composition and so much tower taking ability. Because and that's the thing, right? Like, to Trajan's point, if you can shut down Weiser early, the bridge into the late game gets really tough. But the way I'm seeing it, that late game is going to be nigh impossible to play. Again, and you've given paiN a team fighting composition. This is what they want.
Well, so is there enough damage on FourY4? Over time, yes. Give them enough time, give them enough rotations, they'll be able to do their work. But with the way the comps have kind of come out, it almost feels like it's, can you burst down the critical targets? For FourY4, it's can you burst down the Azir? Can you burst down Tristana fast enough? If you can do that, then yes, you'll be fine. That's all the damage you really need. And Wukong plus Annie is enough to do that if they can reach them. So paiN needs to separate their carries, make sure Titan and Roamer are never next to each other. For paiN, they're the ones who I'm a bit more concerned. Do you have enough damage to kill people? Because if you don't, Senna's going to top them up repeatedly, and it needs to be burst damage to instantly melt somebody. Because if you're relying on sustained damage, then you're playing two games at the same time. On one hand, you're playing dodgeball, you're playing keep away, tag away from the damage that can burst you. On the other hand, you kind of need to stand and deliver the damage. So it's a bit rougher for paiN to come through, and I feel like it's easier for FourY4. I'm liking the FourY4 composition a lot more. It's a lot simpler to play through and a lot harder for paiN to necessarily punish. But as I think you rightly pointed out, paiN, they just wanted a Goomba Stomp bot lane. And if you're the one banning Smolder, you know you're giving Senna over. I think paiN's strategy was, we're going to run Draven. We're going to run, Lucian got banned. Tristana, like something that can just destroy that lane, absolutely crush it, and then snowball from there. And if there's an AD carry who you trust to do that here in LTA South, who better than Titan to be able to run that style?
And I think there is an opportunity for Karaoke to have an MVP level game right here, denying FourY4 the pickoff on the key targets. The Poppy against Leona, against Wukong, against Galio. There is a lot of denial that one big steadfast presence can have from Karaoke. And if he times that right and gets Titan out of there, gives him a chance to cleanse and flash away, gives Roamer a chance to get an ult off, then this could be the kind of unsung hero Poppy game while Titan gets a pentakill. You know what I mean?
And Karaoke is very comfortable in that role. He's very comfortable being the unsung hero and allowing his carries to shine. And you've got, like you said, that steadfast presence into JoJo, into Tatu, into Gigo. You're going to get pretty good value out of this, especially because that's how, like you said, Trajan, the Senna really great into dive compositions to just like be a healer back there and just throw out the heals. And we'll see again if they can execute these team fights. Talk to me about these lanes though, RMC. How do you feel? I mean, we talked about the bottom lane a little bit, but this mid lane is a matchup we haven't seen all that often. Annie has sort of recently come back into the meta.
Yeah, and I think with the Annie Azir matchup, a lot of it comes down to whether Annie can actually get in range to get her combos off, because she's got a lot of burst. And they've offloaded some of her power off Tibbers into a base kit, so her lane trading's perfectly fine. Early on, Azir doesn't have good ways to stop Annie from kind of running at you. Yes, you can slow her, but the poke damage isn't as high, and you've got a CS as well. So a lot of it kind of just comes down to positioning for Roamer. At 6, it gets a lot dicier, because yes, you've got the Emperor's Divide to knock her away, but Tibbers' range is larger. So if she kind of gets in range to unload the whole combo, yeah, it's a little bit for Azir, tough for Azir. Ganks become very, very lethal, but at the same time, if you can survive the burst from Annie with any sort of magic resistance or just a bit of health, then you're kind of fine. Just burn the Annie, recall, and you should be able to win out the poke war as the game goes on.
Game 2, a massive, massive swing point here. paiN, it is not a stretch to say they absolutely have to win this game. Look, it's not over if they lose it, but this needs to be a statement game from paiN Gaming. And this FourY4 composition, it's a good composition, but it's got holes in it. And paiN are playing a composition that really doesn't have as many holes in it. Maybe you don't have as much kind of early day. Actually, no, that's not even true. Like you were saying, RMC, this lane for Titan and Corey, right? They are playing for combat. This is a Titan has taken cleanse. Corey has taken the Ignite. They want to get up in your grill and end this game before it starts. And Titan, look, he had a great game on the Ezreal, but the damage number is going to be a little inflated, obviously, on the Ezreal, as Titan goes right in here, gets exhausted immediately. Big CC chain onto him. Last Embrace comes through. Io with the Ignite, taking down on him. Titan able to rocket jump to safety, at least temporarily. Jojo has no summoners, but if he can get in range and just land a Q on him, Tati's going to make sure that this is not 1, but 2 kills for FourY4. It's a dream start for the Panthers.
And it's a nightmare for paiN. We were just talking about how they kind of need to stop their side lanes. And for Titan specifically, are you living? That completely shouted him with the smallest infraction. I thought he was fine. The exhaust went down and he just damaged through the exhaust anyways. I believe the explosive shot actually ticked after exhaust went down. So he got the damage that he needed to win the trade, but not enough to get the rocket jump, to get out of dodge and back to safety. And because of that, FourY, they're up there. Thankfully, the one silver lining for paiN is that the kills didn't immediately go into Ayu. One into Tatu, one onto Jojo. It's a very thin silver lining, a grayish, rusted silver, I guess.
I'll be honest, the Senna is not supposed to get all the kills in this game. No. That's not really what it's for. And the engage is solid, right? You see the catch out, and paiN, Titan and Curry clearly just think that they win. They think they win the 2v2. And let's be honest, they're within about 10 HP of being correct. So we'll forgive them that calculation error, I'll be honest. But Tatu's around here to make sure Curry gets away. But ultimately, the key is that Titan goes down, Ayu doesn't, as he said, RMC. And Ayu and Jojo, they're not required to outmaneuver and outplay them in the 2v2. They're just standing and watching Titan and Curry kind of flub themselves game 1 and game 2 a couple times into them. It's not as clean as we're expecting from the paiN bot lane, and Jojo and Ayu don't really have to do much. They just have to sit and wait and receive.
I just want to point out, too, like, didn't replay, I realized that Titan didn't even need the reset. Like, he actually did jump out. So he was shafted no matter what. He should have just jumped in then, if that's the case. But I almost feel like he buffered the rocket jump before he double checked to make sure that he secured the kill. And now you can see Ayu and Jojo. The scary part too is Jojo actually getting the level lead over Curry, because once Leona gets a lead, she can snowball a lane much more efficiently. It doesn't really matter what AD carry she has if she's ahead, but if she's behind, she can't do anything. So you've basically now given the lane to Jojo on a silver platter. And yeah, Titan and Curry, it's a bit of a rough one. They're lane swap in a way. I mean, yes, that's a paiN thing to lane swap at 6 minutes anyways, but sometimes I think like, oh, that's not a good lane swap for paiN. This time, yeah, it's a necessary one to try and catch back up, get that little bit of an EXP to even things out.
Dude, what a fumble from the Goomba stomp lane. They ran it down, both died, and swapped away. They fled into top lane. That is not the vibe that you want from the paiN bot lane. This has been the most consistent winning avenue for paiN against FourY. Karaoke could look for well, fair enough. Okay, whatever. Okay. I guess it doesn't matter.
Are you kidding me? And now Weiser coming up here with the equalizers. Timbers drop. paiN aren't going down without a fight. They actually get something out of this. I did not have this on my bingo card. Gigo coming in, trying to salvage something for his squad. He does get a kill there. Rover able to get the big Emperor's Divide down. Ignite ticking down. Jojo will go down. And now Corey, if he can provide enough CC, maybe there's gonna be enough damage, but Gigo is just too big. FourY get a little bit more out of it. Tuts with 3 kills, not for nothing, charging up that Dark Seal. It was a noble effort by paiN, but the gold lead only grows for FourY.
The Smite King of the CBLOL rears his head once again. Karaoke is back, baby. The only guy who can steal Barons against FourY, and now he's taking their dragons as well. What the hell, man?
Yeah, and the way this fight too, like, Karaoke drops that, it's pretty much immediately.
Oh my god!
Right? Like, he barely had any time in the face of Jojo, in the face of Tatu. They see the control ward go down, and I can't imagine what goes through their head when they see that. They're just probably like, oh crap, he's about to show up. And this resulting fight as well was actually really, really scary. paiN are not exactly in the position they want to be able to fight this. Titan's not even there. He's up in the top lane. We are back into live as Weiser's facing a 1v2, 2v2.
Yeah, we're going to see if Karaoke can change the numbers on that. Fantastically buffered by Gigo. He says, take your keeper's verdict and shove it, my friend. But Gigo does go down eventually. Karaoke says, all right, I'll shove it right where your sun don't shine, actually. As paiN get 2 kills back. And this is what I would have loved to see. I mean, look, we talk about how good these teams are at macro and how good they are setting up objectives and all that. But we've got 10 kills in under 8 minutes between the 2 best teams in Brazil. We got a rock fight, baby.
Let's go. And that's what the LTA South is known for, right? The entertainment value. And right now we are seeing them throw hands. And that bot side fight was actually really beneficial for paiN. The fact that paiN actually lost that dragon fight was really, really bad for them. So being able to answer back in any way and catch up in gold is massive. And because of that, paiN actually barely managed to stay even. And they need to be more than even. right? Like we talked about it. You've got the Rumble the top lane. He's stronger early. His scaling isn't as amazing. Galio's job is just to nullify you. The Tristana Rel, yes, Tristana can scale up really well in the end game with her passive increasing her range as she gets more levels, but her strongest phase is in the early game, the first couple of levels. And paiN didn't have a lead. They need a lead, or else going to the mid game, I don't fancy their odds, especially against a 3-kill Annie. Tuts right now is fed, and fed Tibbers in team fights does work.
Equalizer coming down here. As Weiser trying to get a little bit of chip damage onto Gigo and take him completely out of this game. If you can get Weiser rolling, you've got a snowball's chance. Gold lead tied up, and Weiser very much online. Trajan, you don't look too pleased with what just went down.
Dude, this is... Why are we taking Galio first, man? Why are we slamming this first pick in the draft? I just don't think this is what we need Gigo to be doing. I think we should let him hands check the Rumble. Don't use the Galio. It's looking like a fake counter right now, I'll be honest. And I think we could have gotten more out of this as, well, IU's dead as well too, I suppose.
Yep, IU will go very quickly and loudly into that good night. FourY4 grabbed themselves the 3 grubs. They traded for the objective earlier, but now paiN in the lead here. In the blink of an eye, they have wrestled control of this game back into their favor, as IU is the first one to complete an item for FourY4.
I feel like paiN is the more consistent team, right? Like they've been able to kind of come back a little bit after the slip-up they had in the early game. So, not completely dissimilar to what we saw in game 1. Whereas FourY4, they're the explosive team. They made a really good play in the bot lane, surviving against Sankuri. They made a really good play around the dragon area. But it's like flashes of brilliance right now. And I don't know if we want to see another game ending like we did in game 1, where that was a huge flash of brilliance.
I don't know about you. I would love to see that.
Fair enough. It was entertaining. I'll give it that. We are seeing them kind of scrap over the control of the Grubs pit right now. There's actually no Herald or Grubs in there. So it's just really kind of shaking hands, saying hi. And that's why we just saw Jojo just throw out the Zenith Blade. Doesn't land. That's okay. They reset. I'd much rather actually see them set up around this bot side of the map for FourY4, because A, Dragon is coming up, and B, Gigo is kind of getting camped. We got to see this vision toggle as well from the observers, wonderful observers down in Sao Paulo, and they were showing how long Curry was actually sitting in that bush to make this play happen.
He was in the literal sense of the word camping. He had pitched the tent, and he had the bonfire out, roasted the s'mores, ate the s'mores, cleaned up so as not to attract bears, and then got in the fight. Tuts, we'll be okay here, but Romer going to have some one-on-one time with some turret plates. Hopefully can get that second one there. Tatu just shadowing his mid laner as they've rotated up to the top side and sent both the bot laners into the mid lane here. Again, kind of standard operating procedure for both of these teams as they look to extend on this lead. paiN Gaming up 700 gold now. Armsy, how big is the fact that Tuts is up 3-0 now? Because, you know, Gigo, it feels like it's kind of the only place it could go, into that mid-jungle, right? Because IU's going to scale up on his own. Gigo's a tank, whatever. You got Tuts rolling here. You have a way to get into this game, into a tankless composition for paiN Gaming.
Yeah, it'd be a lot bigger if you could get out of the lane. The lane's not favoring him right now. Ooh, they baited Jojo a little bit. Okay. In lane, it's not helping him at all. Romer's been positioning wonderfully and making sure he's created enough zones of space. He's got the magic resistance from the Merc Treads, so Tuts can't 100-0 him in one full combo. And because of that, yeah, Tuts is actually starting to fall behind in CS. So for FourY4, they need to get Tuts to the fight. He's got teleport. Dragon is being started by FourY4. This is where we get to see how big exactly is this Annie.
And we're about to find out. Titan looking for a way into the fight himself. Karaoke just decides to go over the wall. He's got flash. He's got the ultimate. Tatu's just going to aggress onto him.
Wow.
Weiser with the flame spitter over the wall. And now they may have picked a fight that they don't want. FourY4, very nicely done. The ult just for good measure. The shutdown and the dragon both going on to Tatu. And again, the mid-jungle just getting stronger and stronger for FourY4. Flashing away from the Emperor's Divide. Actually dropping Tibbers down here is Tuts. As, Tuts nowhere near the fight. And happy to be that way.
We went from arriving bang on time for the first dragon to 10 minutes early for the second, and Karaoke dies before he gets a chance to take it away. So a very different story down there, and we were thinking, you know, Tuts has surely got to be important for this FourY4 team fight that's going to happen around this Drake, because he's got Malignance, he's got the kills. But they ended up just not even having to bother with that one. So FourY4 probably kind of thanking their lucky stars they don't have to deal with that one, and Tuts, of course, slipping away from the kill is very helpful. Losing the flash takes a bit of the sting out of that tail. Titan is hard to get a fist on. Romer as well, very mobile champions. You'd love a flash to help with the engage, but for now, I think FourY4, they've even the gold out. Let's just maybe avoid the fight for a little bit more. We don't need to throw hands with Tristana, with Rumble right now, and they've managed to they've tripped and fallen and given us a little way back in here.
Yeah, and for sure, really good patience as well on that play from Karaoke. They learned from the first Dragon that got smited away, and they didn't try and rush it. They took their time. They knew that they're in a strong point for themselves right now when it comes to team fighting. And I'm really sad for Karaoke because his actual flash came up shortly after that. So if he had waited a bit more, he actually probably could have flashed back out to safety. Weiser is dead.
He's a dead duckling. Let's see who the kill goes over to. Very nicely done. You give it over to IU. He's got his first one of the game and probably sitting on a good little chunk of change there. He got that static shiv a while ago. Yes, had to invest a little bit into those Swifties. But now with his first kill of the game, you get that late game snowball rolling. As, I forget which one of you said it, I'm going to be honest. But eventually, over the course of the game, the damage does stack up. It was RMC. I remember now. As Titan drops an explosive charge onto Tatsu's head, but Jojo flashing over the wall, drops the Solar Flare after the Zenith Blade. IU raining out damage from the other side. He's got Karaoke and Titan to deal with, though, and now they're just going to aggress on the other side of the fight onto FourY. Cyclone goes out. Roamer drifting in over the wall. Karaoke going to grab himself the kill. Timbers goes out as well, and they are just running away with this. Hold on, no, not just yet. Titan able to get himself to safety. Corey's shown up, and IU just flashes right over the Shattering Strike. IU playing an absolute blinder. He might get 2 kills out of this. They are letting IU run riot. Thank goodness Roamer got 2 kills because IU just danced all over paiN.
What was that? How did Curry get away first? How did Tattoo die after that? How did IU get a double kill? This series makes no sense, guys. What is happening? Both of these teams are so... They're playmakers early on, right? They both have plans and they both try and execute on them. And damned if the other team has a plan of their own. They're going to go for it anyway.
And it was just such an odd situation because Curry gets caught out and the exhaust on Titan has been doing work. I'm not sure I'm loving the early cleanses, but he needed to go and help Curry out. Curry gets out of the sliver of health and he's not actually the first one to go down for paiN. Instead, it's Karaoke who went in to bail him out. Now, this part got super weird because paiN should have won the fight, but it felt like they got distracted. And so IU gets to free fire. Titan's waiting for cooldowns. Curry is waiting for cooldowns. So there was no knock-up, no stun to come through from Curry. And I just would love to hear the comms between them right now, right then at that moment. It feels like Titan's screaming like, "Where's the CC?" and Curry's like, "Where's the damage?" and just nothing's happening. And IU's just, you know, taking names and wiping everybody out. And then meanwhile, White's like, "Okay, guys, I'm here for the cookout. I'm late, but I brought the sausages."
And a big winner of that is actually Roamer. He's walking away 2-0-2 right now. He's got a lead over Tatsu already, despite the 4 kills in his pocket. And that is going to potentially be the way that paiN actually look for this win. I mean, why is there, are we committing for this? No, we're probably not. But like, game 1, it ended up being mostly around Roamer's Ahri that ended up mostly carrying that game. And game 2, I think, might be low-key the same. Titan has had a pretty rough start. He got shot down in lane. He just got shot down in that fight. But Roamer is quietly accruing gold. He's 1.5 item deep. He's probably going to be the first of 2 items at this rate somehow. And that might actually be the savior for paiN today. The new player, the debuting mid laner, might have to step up and help all the old hands out today.
And man, are they going to need it. Like we said, actually for both these compositions, but for paiN more consistently. Look, in a straight-up 5v5, we still haven't seen that. I don't know what the hell went on in that north quadrant of the jungle, but that was not a straight-up 5v5. It might have been, there were 5 members of each team there eventually at different points and in different, you know, strata of the space-time continuum. But Gigo's going to get some alone time with that bottom lane tier 1 as they equalize it on the tower front, and the gold literally dead even. Dragons even as well. Next one going to be spawning in about 25 seconds here. Atakan not going to be available to trade it at the same time. But RMC, we've got a good one here. paiN Gaming, I mean, how crucial is it that Titan gets back into this one? Because Weiser has also gotten the ball rolling as well.
To a certain extent, I'm less worried about Titan getting back into the game. Titan has always been able to make himself relevant, regardless what happens. Relevant can swing both ways, though. I will say that much. There's been games where he's thrown his body in there when he's the most fed member, but even when he's behind, he'll make himself relevant. So is it important? Yes. Am I worried about it? No. The one who I'm actually kind of looking at a little bit more is Tuts right now on the Zanny. Now, 4-1-0. He had a fantastic 3-0 start, but you were hyping up Roamer, and justifiably so. But where's Tuts? Tuts was the guy who won first All-Pro, right? Roamer was at second, third All-Pro here in the LTA South. He wasn't as well looked upon. In fact, you know, people were saying, okay, he might be the weakest link for paiN. But let's not forget, guys, this is his debut in Tier 1. He was coming from NACL, from Team Liquid Challengers, where he couldn't quite take the starting spot from APA in Tier 1, in the LCS at the time. So coming down here, you know, there's been a lot of expectation, there's a lot of pressure, and he didn't quite deliver in the positioning phase. In group phase, he started scaling, and since he's hit playoffs, he's actually been massive for this team, and he's the one I'm actually looking at for these team fights, not just the damage, but also the Emperor's Divide. Shelly charging in, securing a turret. Are they going to go for a second?
Well, they're going to ram it into something here. Taking the scenic route as Carioca able to stun up Tatu. He's on the wrong side of the train track, trying to buy some time with that Cyclone, able to flash over and dash away. Cyclone part 2. A lot of resources, but now Titan is taking up the Dragon, and JoJo's going to make him pay for it. No. There's Tuts with a big stun to help layer that CC down, and now FourY4 might have the upper hand of this one. They're looking to turn. Gigo goes in with the hero's entrance. Corey barely gets out alive. Again, it's deja vu all over again, but this time, FourY4 taking no prisoners. Wiser going to fry up Ayu, but he's got so much healing and shielding. He's able to get the CC down. Wiser only gets 1. It's a 4-for-1. FourY4 with a massive turnaround of the Dragon Pit.
Dude, that was inches away from Roamer and Wiser carrying that 2v4 again, man. I was watching Roamer the whole time going, someone's got to stop this, man. Someone's got to stop this, man. He's going to go crazy. Look at the damage he's dealing. Look at Titan's damage. 0. Bagel. This is not Titan's day, man. This is very, very tough. And it feels like judgment calls. It's the wrong time to go in. It's putting himself in the bad spots. And he's not able to just get away with it like he normally does.
Right, we need to upgrade the damage trackers. We're tracking currently physical damage, magic damage, true damage. We need to track emotional damage. Because Titan... 0? No, he did tons of emotional damage to anybody watching that. The way he hopped into... So, to be fair to Titan, it was very, very unfortunate. Because he hops over to hunt down Tatu. Yeah. And the dragon actually knocked him back. Right there. He gets cancelled, so now he's in the pit, up a creek with no rocket jump. And he cleanses immediately, but he needed to flash. The problem is he's been so reliant on cleanse, and because he goes down like that, when the exhaust comes down from JoJo onto Wiser, Wiser doesn't have cleanse. He doesn't have a good way to do it, and that's what turns the cookout into a massive just forest fire for paiN Gaming, right? They were chilling, they were doing the damage, and then suddenly Wiser's got none. FourY4 is surviving, and we talked about Senna. If she lives, the shielding, the healing that she can just pump out, extended fights favor FourY4 heavily, and that became an extended fight. FourY4 are now up in the lead, feeling strong, and this game so far, paiN haven't won a fight.
Bro, this is not what we saw in the winners finals. The winners finals, it was FourY4 who were looking rough around the edges. The plays weren't always working. They were looking outclassed moment to moment, despite the fact if they had a good plan into the game. Today has been somewhat the reverse. FourY4 the ones clutching it out. They're the ones just getting away with it. Senna again on 1 HP. Tuts is now 7-1 on Annie. He's got a 10-stack Dark Seal. He's probably going to pull a mid-rise of his own before the game is over. And, you know, this game could have been completely different with a couple of HP points either way. That is what we want from a grand finals. We want the fights to go down to the wire every time. We want it to be a good matchup that looks close, but we're approaching a close 2-0 right now if paiN don't get their act together.
That wire's a garrote around paiN still right now. It's just tightening and tightening, and yeah, it's not looking good.
I mean, now you kind of need Titan to get back into this one because, I mean, if nothing else, to atone for his sins. But right now, you need that X factor, I feel like, for paiN. You need a wild card, someone who isn't going to be quite as telegraphed, right? You've got the only silver lining about Titan not flashing there is that he's got flash for this upcoming fight. Now, he will also have cleanse for this upcoming fight, and you could argue, well, if he would have just flashed in the beginning, paiN would have won that fight. Because, like you said, Trajan, it was Roamer and Wiser having to carry a 2v4 and putting yourself in these disadvantageous situations. I think, again, if you're looking for cope as a paiN fan, the fact that you were you were up the creek with no paddle, like you said, RMC, to start that fight off, and you still made it a contest, right? Roamer, he's gotten the short end of the stick. He's gotten some grief from the fans to start off his career here, but he is clutching up right now. He is part of the reason that paiN are still in this game. This could have gone so much worse, and the goalie right now, RMC, it's just 1,400. This game is far from over.
Well, we praise paiN a lot for being able to snowball games, but FourY4 is probably actually the cleanest team at closing out leads that we've seen. Yes, yes, we've seen them stumble before, and yes, sometimes they do struggle against certain teams named paiN. But when they've got a lead, FourY4 know how to go from there. They know how to play around objectives very, very well. Their setup is usually better than paiN's, and we're seeing that right now on this rotation as well, right? Like they were pulling paiN apart. paiN went to answer in the side lanes. Immediately, FourY4 just collapsed right into the mid lane, take that turret and open things up. And with Atakan now on this bot side of the map, Dragon coming up in a minute as well, this becomes the primary focus in the battlefield. They've still got the outer turret in the bot lane, so they've got better control over that area. And if they can just ward up the approach, ward the tri-bush, and ward how paiN can look to approach from the river, with Tuts now actually getting into the fights, now 7-1-1 as well, huge in the last fight, available, with Tatu having that clone to be able to dodge around, and with Ayu starting to hit the point where he's able to top up his team and have a lot of impact, have a lot of wave clear with that static shiv, they can just kind of say, okay, paiN, if you walk in, we kill you. If you don't walk in, we take objectives for free, and we can take Atakan if you're not paying attention down here.
And putting a game plan like that together, that is the bread and butter of FourY4. That is how they win so many games in massive 25-minute shutouts, right? When they're ahead, when they're in control, they have such a good way of approaching the game that it's very hard to break back into it. In game 1, they made a silly mistake in bot lane because it was even, they felt pressure, they were looking for a catch that is out with the normal strategy. Now that they have a lead here, and if they can put the pieces in place to just play out from ahead, from a lead with control of the map, that is where FourY4 is the most deadly, and that's where we're going to need the most kind of paiN experience and magic to maybe come through.
Karioka not able to get a keeper's verdict off here. Not one that he liked anyway. That reduced cooldown. Will that be enough here as FourY4 look like they got a catch? Corey caught out. Jojo picks him off that wall. Dragon up here. That could be the prize for FourY4. They would force Soul Point here. But if we've seen anything from paiN these last couple fights, that they do not need a numerical advantage. But FourY4's setups are better than any other team. They have set up the line of scrimmage here. Tibbers getting ripped through. But hopefully Tuts has enough in him to carry this fight still. Now the keeper's verdict coming back up. And again, canceled there by Karioka. Roamer having a flash away. Ayu from a long range. Dealing a ton of damage. Dawning Shadow over the top. The Wyvern's not going to get much. Tuts is massive. Ayu raining damage over the top. They get another kill. And that is all they need to fully commit to this dragon.
Massive from Tuts once again, and you could see paiN were trying to force their way in. FourY4 used big ultimates to get that kill onto Curry. paiN felt like they could play it. There's not going to be a steal this time, but Tuts, even using the Tibber, winds up for another game-changing stun. Both the big engages in that play where Tuts is, and now the Atakan is coming through.
paiN just aren't there to be able to contest this. Roamer doesn't have TP. Oh, they found another pick.
Oh, they're going for everything, and a big keeper's verdict this time around might have swung the fight for paiN. Atakan still there. Gigo's entrance coming in. Hero's entrance, not Gigo's entrance, but that is Gigo's entrance. He gets flashed on. He gets explosive charged on, and FourY4 might have just stubbed their toe. Shut down for Titan. That is massive. Now, they want to punch right back because Corey is low, and that means Corey is killable.
Roamer's coming back. This has taken so long for FourY4. This has been such a mess. They could have just taken the Atakan and walked away. They got bloodthirsty. They got a bit too LTA South on us right here, and now they've lost that. They know they couldn't keep fighting because Roamer was going to come around the corner and spoil it.
Yeah, and because it's Hextech Soul as well, there are the gates, so Roamer's able to get there a bit faster even without the teleport. Look, in NA, in LTA North, you've got, your Dignitas Barons. Down here in the South, we've got Atakans, and right now, I want to name them like FourY4 Atakans, because this happened yesterday too! FourY4 threw an Atakan, and they're kind of low-key doing it again. This series of plays was great. We talked about how FourY4 is really good at setting up. They know they've got the burst damage. They instantly burst down. I want to highlight too what ults were used. It was Tibbers, and it was Cyclone. So you still have Leona's Solar Flare as a huge engage tool, and paiN is fighting this 4v5. So paiN is a bit over optimistic. They're saying that we've got better hands, we're gonna try and make this happen, but that's not true. FourY4 had just as good hands, and they're able to push paiN back. They go for the dragon, they secure that, but the Atakan was where everything kind of went wrong. We don't have time for that as Baron is being started up by paiN, and they're kind of melting it.
Oh man, Tuts taking
a bad spot, no?
Taking a deep old Hex Gate through, and he just gets wiped. Nothing Ayu can do with the Dawning Shadow or otherwise, but now FourY4 have the advantage on the other side here as the Weaver's Wall, or excuse me, the Equalizer comes out, but Gigo's gonna grab himself 2 kills, and FourY4 soak up the pressure. The Tuts bait was all part of the plan. They will get the Baron as their reward, just how they drew it up.
Never mind, Dignitas Barons. Hold your drink, we've got paiN Barons too here. We got every single big throw on the objectives.
That is crazy, man. Like, RMC, we were talking before we went live that FourY4 is the best Baron setup team in the region, right? They play Barons better than anyone else, but for some reason they can't do it on Atakans. Atakan spawns at the same time Baron used to spawn. Why can't we play it at the same time? But how does this work for Tuts? He gets Tibbers off, which is maybe the only reason it's good.
Yeah, well, look at what he did to Weiser, right? That was the critical person he was looking for. And even if he dies, Tibbers is still in the area doing damage. They've got to focus on Tibbers as well. It's all just distraction. And when we're looking at draft, we talked about how for FourY4, they just kind of need to sit back and scale. Look for Ayu. to scale up and be a monster, and IU is starting to do damage. Tatu as well is matching damage right now with Tuts, and you can see Tatu and Tuts right there. You know, they know what they're doing. They're the big sort of go buttons for the team. They're the ones making all the action happen, and once again, they did it. Tuts going in, not good for him or his KDA, but that's the team call, and that's the thing about FourY4. They're willing to sacrifice for the team. Carry or non-carry, everybody has to do their job.
Tuts, as a flag on the play on cheering after that one. I'll be honest, you don't get to cheer after the team comes in to scrape up the completely bungled hex tech gate over the pit. Like, come on now, let's.
It's a feature, not a bug, Trajan.
He dropped a massive turd on the other side of the map, and his the rest of the squad came in and scooped that one up and said, "We don't leave these here. That's a civil that's a
You
civil
do
offense."
it. It's for your opponents to step into.
True. And then, yeah, they've got some poo-poo on their shoes right now. Do paiN Gaming in their 7th straight final. paiN Gaming staring at a very uncomfortable situation. This is FourY's first ever final. We talked about the individual experience gap here and then the finals differences. But FourY, for this franchise, this could mean everything here. TP coming in hot, Equalizer over the top, big shields coming in as well. Another TP coming in from FourY as they try to get more here. Now the Dawning Shadow's actually starting to hurt. As Tuts try to charge up his big old stun. He gets in, he gets the timbers, and IU is just free firing, and that means that FourY are probably going to run away with this fight, but the health bars are pretty low. If Titan can pull a rabbit out of a hat here, maybe they've got a shot here. Tatu went forward, but he got rocket jump back here. Is it Titan time? It's Titan time, baby! IU gets taken down, Gigo gets chewed through, and paiN Gaming have found a way back into this one. The health bars are so low. Karaoke, he can get some CC down. Rover gets the shutdown, and just like that, paiN Gaming with the ace. Who doubted RMC? Not me. Not ever.
Oh my word, everybody. How is it possible? How does this game get more bizarre, get more backwards by the minute? FourY had Tuts coming in, paiN didn't have good position, they'd already lost the Atacon, and they get the anti-flash in again, but the first time Titan isn't forced out of the play, when he's allowed to actually operate, it's a massive paiN W, and they deny the soul.
Two-word Trajan, absolute cinema. Welcome to the LTA South. It's absolute cinema. Or, as we say it here in the South, Titan Sheshkadella. Because that was Titan. Absolutely popping off right there. The fight looked lost. And what we have to keep in mind is the fight actually starts really badly for FourY. It was a great keeper's verdict to knock away the Leona there, so Jojo wasn't kind of able to get in there. So for a moment, the fight was actually a 5v3. But they're far ahead enough that they were able to buy time. Tuts gets in there. Roamer gets pushed out the fight early. Weiser's dead to rights. But Titan on the side was doing a ton of damage. And once he gets the one reset, that moment, the moment we saw Gigo go down, FourY know they were dead, done and dusted. And this is why I'm not worried about Titan being irrelevant in the game. He always finds his way back in. Thankfully for FourY, it's not the same as what happened last game. paiN don't end immediately off of it. The game goes on. FourY is still in it. FourY is still strong.
But for what feels like the first time all game, for the first relevant time all game, they are now down gold. And Roamer and Weiser, they did their jobs. But now you have that X factor. You have Titan able to throw a grenade into the Atacon pit. Kind of literally there. And I mean, the way that instant, when Tatu tried to go in and finish him off in that tri-brush, the instant buster shot out, holding that for that last ditch effort, saying, no, you don't get to, and actually I'm going to clean all this up. He held all his cards. Titan plays on the edge, man. He held all his big buttons for the end, for that guillotine play, and that's what he was able to execute there to get his team back into this game.
But what we can expect.
Yeah, this time he lucked out. Let's not forget everything that happened before this. Like, praise the Titan for what he's done. But also, he was the one who screwed up the first time. And also the one who got caught in the back of the Dragon Pit the second
And that is not what will be remembered, RMC. It will be, if paiN win the game, if paiN win the series, no one will remember the Baron Pit shenanigans. They will remember the turnaround and the potential quadra kill.
Well, wait, hold on. This is not fair. Trajan, do your job. You're supposed to be the paiN hater here, and I'm supposed to be the paiN fan. Why are you making me talk about here?
So what I think we can expect, and we're seeing it right now from FourY, is yes, they just got absolutely flat-footed in the Atacon pit. That was going to be the game-winning play. The Atacon, the team fight, the gold leads insurmountable, they walk it down, they get the Baron, that was going to be it. It's not it anymore, but what we know about FourY is that Are they going to crumble and go and cry in the corner and go next fast? No, they are going to fight it out twice as hard as they did. We saw it in game 1. It was way worse than this, and they kept throwing it against the wall. It doesn't stick, it doesn't stick, it doesn't stick. Finally, it sticks and they win anyway. So FourY4, expect Jojo and Tuts to have something to say about the state of the game in the next couple of minutes.
And therein lies the sort of danger, the tripping hazard for FourY4 as well. With their composition, they don't need to necessarily be trying to play it fast and loose and trying to accelerate the pace of the game. They can take their time, especially with the Senna. Their setups were good up to that point, and even around that Atakan, it was kind of good. I don't want to see them, you know, over rush things. In fact, take it slow, because a lot of paiN's ability to play is burst damage, right? The Keeper's Verdict's a one-time spell. Equalizer's a one-time spell in a team fight. So you want to burn those and then re-engage. But if you're trying too hard going in on these objectives, then you're opening up for a potential karaoke steal. So for FourY4, you know, take it nice and slow. Oh, Keeper's Verdict was burnt.
That was a fun interaction, and now Gigo's got something to say about it as Jojo gets ripped through Titan, trying to bully his former support into the next dimension. Corey trying to go back in here. Ayu with big shielding and healing over the top. The Dawning Shadow finds its mark. Big Shurima shuffle, able to wipe Tuts off the map. Wiser gets the kill credit, but Ayu still free firing, and that means they've got a shot. Gigo trying to get in there and run some interference. It's a double kill for him. He is way too large and in charge. Titan gets one, but at the end of the day, it's just too much. Ayu with the triple kill as FourY4 wrestle control right back. It's an ace. And are we gonna do this again?
No way. These fights are completely incomprehensible. Guys, how is it that you never have a fight where the winner at the start is the winner at the end in this game, in this day? It is bonkers. I don't know if they can end with 30 seconds on Wiser, 13 on Curry. Maybe they can, but they're pretty low. If this goes wrong, it could go very wrong.
Yeah, I don't want FourY4 to necessarily overpush right now. Watch those timers. 5 seconds on Curry, and if Curry can stall, that's a big problem. It's 15 on Wiser, though, and that's the critical thing. They don't have wave clear. Curry's just trying to distract as much as possible. FourY4, focus, right? They've taken the turrets.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
That's one hit. It's over. One hit.
FourY4, are they going to be able to do it? Curry trying to get everything.
Equalizer
comes down, and it is not enough. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and non-binary squirrels, where were you? Where were you when Tatu and the boys stunned the Tradicionais? When they stunned paiN Gaming and took a 2-0 lead in this finals. In the blink of an eye, they pulled the rug out from under not only paiN Gaming, but the entirety of the South American continent.
Chill. It's not done yet, FourY4. It's a best of 5, not a best of 3. There's still a chance for paiN to come back into this, but twice now, FourY4 wins a critical fight, ends the game immediately. Their decisiveness is incredible. And you were questioning, Trajan, how did they win that fight? Well, they played it slow, right? Jojo gets caught out, sure, but we already said the game plan was burn out the Keeper's Verdict, burn out the Equalizer, make sure the setup isn't there, and they burnt the Keeper's Verdict early. Equalizer came across without sufficient setup. It didn't really toast anyone, and the moment those two were down, Ayu just kind of got to grind his way through that fight, and for Titan, for Roamer, their positioning is so much tougher than it is for that Senna, like we talked about, and now suddenly paiN's backs are up against the wall, and here in the South, reverse sweeps aren't common. They're actually pretty darn rare, so paiN, they've really got to clutch this one out.
It is common for FourY4 to be up in the series. They have been swept on at least once. It is now that the pressure becomes the highest it can possibly be, because you have stolen 2 games now. You have robbed 2 games from paiN out of their back pocket and ran away giggling to yourself. You're now up 2-0, having almost thrown 2 games and then winning them anyway. You need to now maintain the sense of, didn't happen, don't care, I deserve to be here, I'm the GOAT. You know, get the Tattoo mindset and just send it and just keep doing this, right? I don't know how it happens, I don't know how it works every time, but it seems like paiN are a little shaky today, and FourY4 have the highest clutch factor I've seen from them all split. It is always high, but today it is astronomical.
They're playing like a team with nothing to lose. That's kind of my takeaway here, right? And I think game 1 actually encapsulated it more than game 2. In game 2, they were more in control. In game 1, they said, look, this is our best shot here, right? We're down 5,000 gold. We've got to take every single opening these guys give us, because they will win in a war of attrition in game 1. And then in game 2, playing with all the confidence in the world, you got a 1-game lead. You're drafting a bit of an unorthodox composition, something that relies on a guy who has been the weak link on this team in Ayu to execute on the setup. And he was marvelous. And now, paiN have to ask themselves some very uncomfortable questions. We'll break those down and more as FourY4 look to complete the upset when we come back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LTA South. We now stand inexplicably at 2-0 to FourY4. paiN, generational bag fumbling we're seeing today from paiN, unfortunately, it must be said. And RMC, you know, the producer asked us if we were good to go, and you said, no, but let's go live anyway. And that just sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, paiN, aptly named organization. They've always been a painful org to follow. And you call them the Silver Surfer Trajan. Before you mentioned 7 straight grand finals, but only 1 championship after 7 straight grand finals. They're the final kings of CB LOL, but at the rate they're going, they're not going to be the first international representatives from LTA South. FourY4 instead, a team that has never had a championship, by the way. This org has never won. Heck, they've never even made it to Grands before. They make it to Grands and win it? Now that's an amazing story.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, FourY4, we've gotten the paiN Zeche's opinion on events that have transpired. As a neutral party, shall we say, how are you feeling about these wins? Because they're not clean. Are they exciting? Yes. Are they definitive? I wouldn't say so.
I mean, I'll say this. If paiN do come back and reverse sweep here, they are responsible for one of the few reverse sweeps that we have had. It was the paiN roster with Lucy, BRTT, Carioca. Carioca was on that roster, and Tinones and Robo. They have pulled off a reverse sweep before over Dinkedo's Loud. Yes, that did exist at one point. And RMC, you talked about how Gigo and company, Gigo and JoJo, right? This is their first grand finals on FourY4. As we're not sure what the hell was going on there, but I would have liked to have seen it. But the graphic you just saw, I mean,
there we go.
These 3 players, they were pre-Loud Dynasty, right? Yep. The 3 Cade championships you see in the middle there, plus that red Canid's 4th place. These were the guys that were like just power of friendshipping, along with Grevthar and Aegis, power of friendshipping their way to back-to-back CB LOL titles.
Yeah, so Titan, Gigo, JoJo, they were part of the Crush Canid's roster, 2021 Split 2, 2022 Split 1. They won it. And then 2022 Split 2, it did not end well. 4th was not good enough, and that's when everything changed. But if you look at kind of how it's gone, I think Titan generally, okay, he had a bit of a rough time on Rid, but the moment he went to paiN, it's 2nd place, 1st place, and then 4th place in Split 1, which wasn't, you know, the usual whole domestic split. Gigo probably suffered the most. He went to the VKS roster back in 2023, the 3G roster, right, with Gigo, Grell, and Grevthar in the mid lane. I mean, that was wonderful and fun, but it did not do very well. 9th
such
place.
A mess.
And then he was part of the CL era, right, in 2024. 3rd place, 2nd place, 1st place in regular seasons both split. JoJo also struggled quite a bit. 6th place on Fluxu, and Fluxu as an org still continues to struggle now. Went back to Red, another 4th place finish, and now he's with FourY4. So Titans had the most success, sure, but Gigo and JoJo this year, this split in particular, is looking to be able to get one over that paragon of Brazilian AD carries that split away to paiN.
And it has always been it's been so clear the quality that Gigo and JoJo still have and are bringing to these rosters. Like, especially the VKS era for Gigo was a peak, one of the peaks of his career in terms of domination in the top lane. JoJo on this Fluxy roster. It was the Fluxy roster for JoJo that looked like it was going to win and be better than everyone, and you know, 10-game win streak and all this, and then just crashed and burned kind of multiple times in a row. We've seen the high still present for Gigo, for JoJo. Titan has been always, I think, more considered to be the face of the region and maybe the best player in the region, MVPs of splits, right? But Gigo and JoJo have been toiling away in playoffs, in the mid-pack seedings for many years, and now they stand here ready to take one over Titan, to dethrone him after he just got there, for goodness sake, and they're ready to come and topple him right off. It is FourY4. It is poetic, but it is pretty tough, as we do have the post-game stats right here, and the damage that I was pumping out right here.
Dude.
Well, when you give your early kills to Senna, I guess that's what you get.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the snowball started to roll, right? And from then on, it was in these more drawn-out fights, despite Weiser and Romer's best efforts, despite Titan's best efforts, paiN actually got back into this one. Titan gave it, he gave it, and he took it away in that one.
Yes.
And now we've got a very interesting spot here in Game 3, where again, because of the loss, paiN are going to get side selection. I imagine they go blue side again and just grab themselves meta picks, because on the whole, and even despite the result here, I would say, look, they are still the better team. They've proven it. more consistently. But now they've got a chance to actually, I mean, they've got this opportunity to actually do something about it here. And it's hard not to project forward to which one of these teams would do better internationally, but that's a discussion we're going to have another time as we are in a draft here.
Yes, now we have seen the first actual departure. paiN have completely changed their draft strategy. It's not MF, it's not Varus, and I said I wanted them to leave MF up and just slam it. Give Titan a pick he can't E in on, and he's gone for the Varus. So it's the same idea, right? Yes, it can carry, yes, it has damage and utility, but it is not able to go quite as bonkers by itself.
And now, again, for all the criticism that has been leveled at IU this split, on Misfortune, dude can cook. And you've left that open here on the other side for quite the wombo.
Wait,
Lord Jesus in heaven, what are we doing?
It again?
No, they're not doing the Io Yasuo thing again, are they?
They are.
Dude.
If
The
I
Io
mean,
Yasuo was not good.
like, this might be the most, aside from the Loud Dynasty going down, this is the most consequential point in modern Brazilian League of Legends. Because if FourY4 win this, this is going to be talked about for years and years and years to come. If FourY4 butcher this and go on to lose the series
And
because of
get
IU
reverse
Yasuo, IU might not find a team next split. That is the worst case scenario. This could be a disaster. Oh my goodness.
So, to be fair to IU, this is not the first time he's whipping out the Yasuo. This is not like
we know.
IU Belveth's levels of insanity. But back in the first round of the playoffs, up against K-Stars, in Game 3, when FourY4 were up 2-0, they whipped this out. And it's a similar situation. They're up 2-0 right now, and they're saying, okay, IU, we know you like your weird picks. Go for it. Also, it does well into Varus, to be fair, right? And he picked in the exact same situation where Teus was on Varus. He slammed the Yasuo. So it's sort of his pocket counter. In lane, it might still struggle, but later on, the wind wall can block the chains of corruption. It can block the piercing arrows. And it's a wonderful team fight sort of pickup. And here in the LTA South, besides FourY4, every other team runs team fight comps anyway. So if you're going to just smash it with team fights, then yeah, FourY4's just all winning on that. Again, the logic is sound. The execution, that's
We'll
the
see,
question.
baby. We will
Similar,
see.
yes. The same, no. VKS does not equal paiN Gaming. I will say that for the folks at home. As we have rounded out this first draft, it's Varus Braum bot lane versus assumedly Yasuo Rakan. That's what they ran last time. They could, of course, just give this to Tatsukigo, but we'll see how the draft develops. And they've locked in a Sejuani for Tatu as well. Very solid bridging pick for him. And I think Tatu and Karaoke have been doing their jobs today. They have not been the focus or the result of each game, but they have actually both been playing pretty well, setting up their team. So we've gone through the second round of bans as well. Trundle, Renekton, Jax, and Maokai, so a lot of top lane focus. And FourY4 are still with the final counter pick. They are still potentially going to be able to get Gigo something ideal to come through in this one RMC. But now that we've gotten these picks starting to fall away, we still need a mid laner for Tuts now, and the flex of the Yasuo is really kind of confusing me as to what we're actually going to see now.
Yeah, and they're holding it, right? They picked the Aatrox into the Investor here, and they're holding a potential flex for the last pick. paiN, they're still looking for mid lane and jungle, and they did pinch Karaoke's pull in the jungle as well, right? Sejuani taken away, Maokai banned. They're basically saying, Karaoke, we're taking away all your comfort sort of utility picks, and that's why the Skarner's being hovered. But Skarner's not as effective. Yeah, you kind of got to run into them. And with an Aatrox waiting on the other side with a Rakan, they're happy to let Karaoke just kind of run into them to find that engage. If they can knock you up, if they can interrupt you, you might not even get the Impale off. And even if you do, you might not have enough health to do anything with that Impale.
This is going to be, I mean, you've drafted a couple knockups, which is good for Yasuo, right, to set him up. You've got Rakan, you've got Aatrox as well. The Yone would have been ballsy, but now you've got potentially that Yone to be able to go into the hands of Tuts. And this could be like the Wombo combo comp to end all Wombo combos. It will be Orianna here for Roamer. So you've got sufficient damage, I think, on the side of paiN Gaming. But this I don't know if you know why I'm saying this, but it almost like maybe it's just the timbre of the series right now. This feels like a playing scared comp for paiN.
From paiN? It's a comfort pick for paiN. I think
they're playing it. I think they're keeping it simple. I think they're trying to simplify the team fight with comfort picks for Roamer especially, right? As the Akali as the final lock-in.
This
so
is a massive
keeping it simple.
Yeah. This is a you know what on the table comp from FourY4.
it makes sense though, right? Like they've done this before, and we've seen a lot of sort of AoE wombo combo team fight comps where it's like 4 team fighters and then the 1 assassin to kind of clean up in the back line.
Yep.
And I think it works very, very well, especially since Akali can get around the Braum. Unbreakable doesn't do squat to Akali. Now you can dive that Orianna, dive the Varus. So I think it's a really solid draft adaptation from FourY4. ThinkHeart being back in Brazil maybe makes all the difference with their drafts and how well they're playing. Because he wasn't here yesterday, but he flew back in to make sure he was here for Grand Finals. I like it. I just want to go back to your point for about playing scared. I guess the reason why you might feel that way is Roamer opting for the Orianna.
Yeah.
When he's been the big playmaker, arguably the best player on paiN today so far, certainly the one who's carrying a lot of these fights, Orianna doesn't give you that agency to do that anymore. Orianna, in fact, the last time Roamer picked Orianna last week, I said he was put in Orianna jail because he screwed up the Ari.
Yeah, exactly.
He's good on it, but he can't really be that pop-off player. It relies all on that shockwave, and we'll see it this game if he's able to do it. paiN, standard front-to-back composition, really good front line, really solid back line. Let's see if they can execute it into the madness that FourY has brought to the table with the Yasuo bot lane, with the Akali to round things out and threaten.
Now, I worry about full melee comp into Braum, into Ori, into Varus, who can just go on hit and then build Runans.
True, yeah.
I do worry about the FourY all melee composition. I feel like this does feel like a big swing for the fences. Like, it feels like the draft of a team that won both game 1 and game 2 in 25 minutes with a 9k gold lead.
Yes.
Not a team that won the second game with a waterline gold graph, having stolen the second win of the series. So I love where your head's at, FourY. I am terrified for you in this game, I'll be honest. This feels like, for me, I'm expecting more like game 2 of paiN versus FourY in winners finals, in which paiN just went, okay, nice steal on game 1, and now we're going to show you who's boss. And that was not a close affair. paiN completely ranched them in that game.
That's what I expected from paiN in game 2 of this series, and it did not end up being that.
Interestingly enough, both supports are actually running Unsealed Spellbook.
Based.
Both melee supports,
based.
too. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it a couple of times, but usually it's into the ranged support or when you don't think you're necessarily going to win that melee matchup. But both of them opting for it. The last time, I think it was Jojo we saw, who's been consistently running the Unsealed Spellbook on Rakan. And he had some really good smite steals, as you mentioned, Rajan. So I'm curious to see if Curry can kind of do the same thing. And that makes the jungle, the objective fights, that much spicier.
I was going to say, I'm glad that he's already taken Exhaust as the standard, which I believe is the right idea against Akali and Aatrox and Yasuo, and it's also going to give him that extra, a bit of kill threat. If he wants to swap it to Ignite, if he wants to swap it to something else, Titan can be enabled to go deep here. And last game, we saw Io and Jojo actually win out that bot 2v2, kind of against their will. Titan and Curry decided to completely send it and really. Now they have a Varus from, again, it's a fantastic 2v2 dueling pair. Right? This needs to be the game where paiN's bot lane get it together in the first 5-10 minutes. That is what made game 2 so tough for them,
Surely they can't send it with a non-mobile AD carry and a Braum who's not engaged, right? Right, guys?
He's taking Ghost. I'm afraid he's taking Ghost, so he's going to be sending it, I'm afraid.
No. I mean, look, you can't cleanse a knockup, right? I don't hate the Ghost here, right? And you're not going to take Barrier into this lane, right? Because you should be just fisting it, right? This is about not necessarily getting kills, but this is about just putting this lane in the dirt, at least in terms of CS. So I don't hate it, but it does... this could be one of those results-based analysis things where if this goes sideways, you look, he took Ghost, blah, 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 but real ball knowers know that this was the right pick. 'Cause you got to stay in range, if nothing else, right? You got to be able to give yourself a little more mobility, and Cleanse just isn't going to do it in this composition.
Yeah, ultimately the cleanse is the Ghost is gonna give him the ability to reposition a team fight, right? If he gets away from that first fight, Curry flies in, shields the first thing, knocks up the first attacker, he can Ghost and reposition and start space gliding on them. So this is probably the right choice, as much as we like to meme on Titan a bit.
Yeah, for sure. And in lane too, right now, Titan and Curry are going to have the advantage of sort of double range in a way. Like, yes, Braum is a melee champion, but the Frostbite, his Q at least, is sort of a ranged ability to be able to kind of poke out. And they're more than happy to let Jojo and Ayu kind of step up and try and engage into them. I need to see Titan and Curry just run this lane, like get full control over it. But you can already see Tatu trying to get down here, even if he can't get the gank off because of the wards. Just his presence is going to be able to break some of that pressure.
We're fighting, we're knocking up, we're going on Titan. He's used the Ghost already and the Flash. Now Karaoke is here. They could look for a re-engage in the 3 versus 3. Titan has room to shoot, but the wind wall blocks him out. And Ayu and Jojo, despite Tatu being on Vision, they still walk away ahead in that 3v3.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, the pressure that Tatu can kind of get down just by showing up, whether or not he actually gets the gank off. And he did get the gank off. Wiser? He's opting into this.
Oh, it's Wiser on the Ambassador, though. We've seen the outplays from this guy
Oh,
before. Away in the potion keeps him alive. Flash into the bush again, but it's first blood. Gigo, the Korean killer, is back, baby.
Is it still a Korean kill if Wiser's a naturalized Brazilian citizen as far as
We'll give him half a point.
League of Legends?
Give him half a point.
But wow, man, I mean, that could have gone. What a timely level up there. But man, oh man, now, I mean, yeah, Wiser, he's in a tough spot now, right? Gigo, you want to talk about a snowbally champion that can take over this game if you're not careful. Gigo on the Aatrox, man. There's another champion that, like the Camille, is something that he is known to just dominate on.
It's sort of an unusual situation to happen to Wiser. Like, if Titan does that, we're all just like, ah, yeah, that's just Titan. But Wiser's the conservative top laner. He's not the one to usually mess up these one-on-ones. He knows usually exactly how much damage he can take, and Wiser opted into it. Like, he dashed back in against Gigo there and tried to outplay in the bush. Evidently didn't work out. So I'm a little bit concerned for paiN's mental right now this game. Has it started to crumble now that Titan and Curry aren't finding a lead? By the way, again, range into melee. I use the one up CS, and sure, there's a wave crashing in. That wave, 6 minions, does not make up the deficit. And Wiser, not able to find any sort of lead. Roamer jailed on Orianna, so I'm not expecting him to be able to pop off and hold the mid game. It feels like paiN kind of crumbling a little bit.
It's so, I mean, hang on a second. We've got the knock up onto Curry. He's going to dash away, but, you know, fans will remember, not too long ago, we saw Wiser pull one of the craziest Ambessa outplays I've seen ever against, who do you know? It was Furia against them in that bot side. The Ambessa for Wiser is very good. He's very skilled at this champion, but I think that speaks to what you're saying, RMC, that they look out of sorts. They look like they're not playing as they should. This is an off day for paiN in top lane as well as bot lane, and Roamer's been trying his little heart out today, but he's in Orianna jail. What's he supposed to do?
Yeah, and right there, I thought Wiser was just going to dash out, but he actually opted to turn around, and they kind of did to rights. You know, flashing, trying to outplay and push. Absolutely didn't work out. Gigo just knew his limits better in that situation, and that does not spell good news. Aatrox scales pretty well into the mid game. He's going to be an absolute menace, and not just in the 1v1s either, but the team fights potentially for Fury. It's not just going to be Wiser's problem. It's going to be all of paiN's problem at these mid game objectives.
Man, yeah, I mean, if IU again, this is going to be one of the most talked about series for a long time. No matter what happens, honestly, from here on out, the fact that FourY have gone up 2-0 here, if it's a reverse sweep, it goes down in the history books. If FourY 3-0, 3-1, or 3-2 this, it goes down in the history books because you pulled off an upset. Let's make no bones about it. Actually, I'll ask you guys a question here. And maybe I asked this on the podcast, so forgive me if I did. If FourY win this, would that be a bigger upset than if Cade had beat paiN in Split 2 2024?
No. I think Cade would have been a bigger upset, personally, because I think FourY have already demonstrated a clear ability to defeat paiN in games and to look competitive before. And there's been such a bigger gap there, whereas Cade was always like, how are these guys winning regular season? And so now we have to ask, how's this dive going to go? Because we've got Tots coming around, Karaoke is almost there, but they've got the knock-up onto Titan, the flash in from the Sejuani, they've got the stun, there it is, first kill secured, trying to get out of tower range, Curry's very low, but he's going to survive. And now Roamer, here's the hero play, the chance for Orianna jail to be unlocked and for a big shockwave to change the tide here, but Tots dropping the shrouds completely zones him out, and paiN chicken out and back off.
Yeah, and that's the old ball and chain on Roamer. What's he supposed to do? Flash in and try and go for the shockwave? Like, even then, I don't think he has enough damage right now.
Yes, sombrero type. Let's go. Game in your hands, brother. No one else is going to do it. Not today.
Yeah, and the dive was immaculate from FourY. Very, very clean.
Yeah.
The way they kind of trade off the aggro and making sure, like, Jojo's the one that started off. He's kind of hovering at the side so that he can drop immediately. He goes on to Tatu as well. It's on your tanks and your big carries of IU and Tuts. They're ready to go to actually pump out the damage, and they're perfectly safe. Even better for them. Well, not as good for them, unfortunately, is the fact that Tatu was the one who picked up that kill there and not Tuts or IU. But they're kind of fine with that. And paiN, a little bit uncharacteristic for them to be able to suffer. I think once Curry hits level 6, they don't have to worry about that dive. But that it happened before then is already an issue for paiN. They don't have a winning lane right now.
Tuts kill. Can he find it? Oh, okay. He's the tower shot. And
he got a winning lane.
Balls it in bot lane. We was just about to say that the last time we saw the Tutsakali, it was just side lane city and it wasn't doing that much value and it didn't look that good for him. He almost had the solo kill there, but instead drops the gold into Roamer's pocket, and now FourY are not feeling so good about this play. They're going to back away, and paiN going to move in on the grubs.
That is a massive massive play right there. You want to talk about some potentially fragile mental? If that's me in that situation, I break. I pee on myself.
Keyboards.
Yeah, exactly. No, I break the
hang on a
keyboard
second.
words.
paiN getting knocked up, Karaoke. The Yasuo combo's there, but still gets the big impale. But Titan not able to get the damage down just yet, but someone needs to go down at some stage. Karaoke's there, outflashes Ayu. He's pretty low, but Gigo now taking over the front line. The next Q does not land, and FourY in a bit of a retreat right now as Roamer has arrived. Another knockup from Jojo, threatening onto Titan, but Rakan surely will fall. And FourY a little scrappy there. They walk away with one grub apiece, but they end up getting pushed back.
These last two fights that paiN have won, on the margins, on the slimmest of margins here. But somehow, some way, they find themselves in a position. I mean, FourY, they're still ahead here, right? If, you know, we talked about in game, I forget if it was 1 or 2, but how Weiser and Roamer, they were losing some of those fights by just inches. And how the game could have been completely different had a couple of heads turned to tails, had a couple of sixes been ones. And now FourY maybe are finding some positive regression.
Well, and this is where the paiN mental comes in, right? For FourY, they're not quite at the point of the game where they want to be looking for this fight. The Aatrox, the Yasuo, the Kali haven't scaled up. You saw the last breath come across to start things up, and it didn't really do that much. Like, congratulations, you took out Karaoke, the jungler. That's good for the objective, but you don't want the rest of this fight. And right here, Jojo going down, this was him doing the right support play. As in, your team was going to get shafted. Do not drag the rest of your team into it. Turn around and make sure that, hey, you focus on me. Everybody else kind of get out. So FourY, they made the best of a bit of a rough situation they found themselves in. I just don't think they should necessarily be looking for this fight. Even here, last breath comes across from Ayu. Titan just tanked it, and he's kind of fine. Like, give Ayu, you know, maybe 5 minutes, one item, and Titan won't be fine. But for right now, paiN are okay to kind of try and force fights toe-to-toe, even with the gold deficit.
FourY still 600k up, 600 goal up. So they are still pretty, you know, they're happy here. They got the first dragon. That fight didn't go ideal for them, but as you say, RMC, they were not at the strongest point. Tatu has walked away with a couple of kills and will become likely a very tanky frontliner, which is really what they need. If they're going to go with potentially 2 backline assassins, they really want Gigo and Tatu to be in good shape, to be properly threatening onto Roamer and Titan. So they're walking away happy with this, but they could have been much further ahead. But this is what we said about paiN in game 2, is if those fights had actually just been operated properly, you'd probably be way further ahead. And now Roamer getting assaulted from behind the tower here, surely nowhere to go with no flash. And Tuts this time will be assisted to some revenge by his jungler.
Man, look, Tatu, look, I've always said, if you're playing Sejuani, you better be ripping that ult on cooldown, because the amount of pressure you generate on a Sejuani by just showing up, right? If you just peekaboo into a lane, you can force a panic flash at the best of times, and at the worst of times, right, it's just a guaranteed kill, right? It's so simple for this Sejuani. And now Tatu, yeah, look, I mean, he's been at his best on these types of junglers, man, right? Whether it's a tank and spanks, or like you said, your more damage oriented junglers, for, you know, like the Wukong, but his engage sense and his team fight sense are unbelievable, especially when you consider he's a rookie. He's a rookie, and there was a conversation, I'm not saying it was the right conversation necessarily, but this guy was getting down ballot MVP votes. There's a conversation that he was the MVP.
Yeah, and Tatu, I think, was the biggest, most hyped up rookie stepping into the split. We have a couple, like, with Marvin, with Roamer, with Tatu, but it was Tatu who everybody was kind of hyping up as the next big Brazilian phenom player. Like, in any role, he's the rookie to keep your eyes on. And in this game in specific, what we just saw Tatu do to Roamer with Tuts, that's only going to get easier. Once Tuts picks up his first item as well, that's when the Akali starts to become a huge threat. You see how nice and easy it is? Sure, this time they catch Roamer up in the lane where he's not under safety of turret, but look how quickly they melt him, right? That's effectively just 1 and a bit combo, like 1 and a second Q from Tuts to come through.
Yeah, didn't even ult.
Strike. Yeah, you could do that under turret very easily once first item comes through. So suddenly Roamer cannot be left to split push. There's just no safety there. Not unless they perma-track where Tatu is. Roamer does
That's unfortunate timing as FourY once again coming to really drive the nail into that coffin. Tuts given a second kill over Roamer.
Hold up, we were just talking about how Tatu and Tuts can do that to Roamer. We did not need to send a third person. FourY really want to put Roamer in the dirt, and with how the season's gone, I don't blame them, right? Roamer's been a fantastic part of paiN. If you shut him down, he's the easiest guy to abuse right now, then yeah, the team fight gets a lot easier from them. If Roamer's off the picture, the only person you need to focus down for FourY in team fights is Titan.
I'm playing a little bit of amateur psychologist here, but I think it does. I think there's a conversation here. Walk with me down this path.
Okay.
We put Titan on a. Oh my goodness, he's gonna get stunned up.
It's fine.
Right,
It's fine.
he's good.
I's already missed his cue. No worries.
All right. You've let go of my hand. Grasp onto it again. We put Titan on something where he cannot E-forward. He cannot, be mobile. If you put Roamer in the dirt like this, I think Titan's spidey senses start tingling. And he goes, well, I've got to do something. He's going to be ghosting forward. He's going to be flashing forward. He's going to be using Chains of Corruption when maybe he shouldn't be, right? And Bessa is going to get a little trigger happy because I think the desperation could start to set in here, right? That's your worst case scenario because at the end of the day, look, Orianna's going to scale fine. Like she's a solid mid-range, mid-game, to late game sort of mage, but you can still be a Shockwave bot and be effective, right? Now, sure. That's assuming that this lead doesn't get out of control. Because if this lead gets out of control, between IU, Tuts, or Gigo, pick your poison, dude. Any one of these guys could pop off and just murder blast this game for FourY4.
Yeah, and the concern for Titan is definitely there. I will say so far, though, he's been playing very, very well. He's been able to actually survive quite a few of the engages that have come through on him. And I think just mentally, the mindset, he doesn't usually waste his summoners aggressively. He can use them aggressively, but usually he's better at calculating when he's burning his summoners compared to like a basic ability. So I'm not as worried about that. I am, however, very worried about the second point you brought up. The sort of carry overload that FourY4 has and the fact that all their carries are doing pretty well right now. Gigo is up and ahead with the extra kill and the extra assist. Tuts is getting the free farm kills because he's matching up against Roamer, and now Jojo can go gank, Tatu can go gank. Any sort of 2v1 means that the turret's not safe for Roamer. The big question mark for me is IU a little bit. He's doing well into Titan so far. He's actually up CS and he'll be a big threat, but we saw IU play this against 8-star and sometimes his engages are a little bit questionable.
Okay, we're going for the dive right here. There's no ults to use, and Wise are getting a bit tricky with it. The damage is there, but is it enough? Wise are dipping and diving, and FourY4, they will make it work. They had to really work for that one, but it's still the dive secured onto Wiser.
Yeah. 2 flashes and an ult for 1 flash and an ult, and you get the kill over as well. So I'd say that's worth it. Now, might have some action here in the top lane. Shockwave.
Baited in. Karaoke's ready to pounce, but the perfect execution does not connect, and Roamer will survive. A flash away from Tuts is there, but the bot lane tower's already gone down. Jojo ready and waiting, and this kind of somewhat answers the question that I was about to pose, which is, where's the answer from paiN? When Roamer is getting a permadove by FourY4 top lane on repeat, where's the answer from paiN? Where's the cross map? Where's the anything, right? This was the first attempt of a play we've kind of seen from them, and it feels like 5, 6, 7 minutes, it has been quiet from paiN so far. They're gonna go onto this Herald right now, and Titan's in position to hopefully finish it off. FourY4 maybe looking to try and punish, but Tatu too far away, I think, to properly contest it. We'll see if they want to fight here.
Everybody's showing up here. I mean, Tuts, yeah, I think you've got your shot here. Get in and get the hell out because Tuts has TP, and here he comes.
Okay, double TP's coming in. Actually, the double flank from FourY4 is going to get pretty dicey. Wise has been locked up. He's under threat. Tuts is looking for the area. Pile in, but a triple impale from Karaoke. The full melee comp is all bunched up in the river. Tuts is working on Curry. That's not a backliner, but Tatu tags Titan with the end of the flail. Karaoke getting minced up by IU, and Jojo is going to go down surely as Tatu chases down the Varus. Roamer abandoned under the tower for the 3rd time in a row. He falls in top lane, and FourY4 put paiN in the meat grinder.
Tinone's retired a couple days ago, but he gave whatever anti-paiN sauce he had to Tuts and FourY4.
He went and kissed him lightly on the forehead and said, "You are the curse now."
Yes, exactly.
I mean, literally, Tuts was wearing the shirt yesterday, right? Which was like, what was it? Tuts or Tatu wearing the, it's like, rest in peace, like, Tino.
Yeah, the Jose Diodo one, the shirt yesterday. And then Tuts had the rest in peace Dinkato, Grefthar, and Tinone's. He paid his respects, and this is good karma, right? You pay your respects, and you get to body paiN in grand finals, I guess.
And this fight was just, it felt like the icing on the cake. This is how you know paiN is kind of done and dusted. And Tuts on the side was the huge threat because Curry was doing a lot of work, right? Like the melee comp, as you said, they were struggling a little bit. They didn't quite have enough burst damage. But Titan wasn't allowed to free fire. That little bit we just saw there was about all the auto attacks he got down because Tuts kept threatening the dive on the side. And Curry tried his best to keep the Akali out. But that's a poor little support up against a mid laner who's been fed some kills, has been allowed CS. On screen, by the way, Tuts just soloed out Roamer again.
It is going from bad to worse right now. paiN are spiraling. They are 6k down. 18 minutes. This is the biggest FourY4 performance we've seen so far. They'd like to strike back, but Jojo has got the IU activation right there. Titan with a lovely flash over the wall, actually. Keeps him safe for now, but Tatu and IU will follow him. And Gigo now has arrived. The cavalry is here. FourY4 are completely unleashed, and paiN are losing their minds. It's going from bad to worse.
Yeah, and what an unholy jungle gap we're seeing right now. Karyoka 0-3-0, tankiest guy on this team, and he's just getting melted. You look across the other side, 3-0-9, Tatu. The former understudy of Karyoka coming up from paiN Gaming Academy. This was supposed to be Karyoka's performance if he couldn't clutch up. And we said Karyoka clutched up, right? Regular season, this guy, paiN Gaming's jungler, was the MVP bar none.
Literal MVP.
But fast forward to the playoffs right now, and Karyoka goes in. Half health, Tatu still ends up doing more in this fight. And once again, I'm just kind of looking at Titan on the side, not able to do anything. Tatu even hopping over the walls to guarantee that knock up to set up IU to finish that off. And the moment Titan's gone, paiN have nothing left in the tank. They can't make any plays. By the way, remember that Roamer's already dead when all this is happening. So there's literally no secondary carry.
And again, I mean, like, this isn't even like, we can't even talk about Titan this game. Titan's not being allowed to play the game. You see the vision for paiN Gaming. You see what they're trying to do. But it has been fight after fight, right? Whether it was Tuts just zoning him off that fight that took place right where the screen is looking right now, or this one where Jojo just gets all up in your guts. And oh, by the way, Weiser and Gigo are having, you know, a collateral damage battle just 2 pixels away. So you go, I can't walk in. I can't walk in, right? Because like you said, even if Karyoka, he's the tankiest guy on this team. Look, now he's an item down. Like, this game has gotten out of control with a capital O. But Titan has simply not been allowed to play the game. This one is not on him. I don't actually know who it's quote unquote on. I think I want to give just more credit to FourY4 than anything, because they are playing a relentless all gas no breaks game right now. Look at the Atacon as a reward. My goodness, man. I did not have this on my bingo card, man. Not even close. Not even close. Well,
it's on paiN right now, like an entire oil tanker, and just running them over repeatedly. And I just don't see a way for paiN to really come back in right now. Karyoka with Shelly, they're trying to make this happen, but Karyoka is... where are you going to go, buddy? I don't think you get out no matter what, and much less when you're driving into the remains of a turret. Oh, is Tatu fine, though?
Tatu might not be allowed to leave as well. Loses the flash, but a TP in from Tuts trying to threaten. Roamer's nowhere to be found as well. Onto Titan straight away, who's ghosted to safety. But that won't save you, my friend. FourY4 completely steamrolled them again.
That was hot. That was hot. Tuts.
Let me feel something.
Oh my goodness. I've been watching League of Legends for a long time. I've been casting League of Legends for slightly less time. I could put that on a short list of plays of maybe 15 or 20 plays that made me involuntarily make a noise. Tuts cleared the whole screen in the blink of an eye. That is what peak Akali performance looks like.
5-1-2 with the proto belt for even more mobility, and it starts off this play like this is what we're focused on, but on the minimap you can see Tatu was actually playing aggressively. He's not running away, he was going in to get more vision, and he was kind of baiting with his body. He knows that even if Tatu were to die in this situation, it does not matter. And Tuts the backline with a 1v2. That what's Titan supposed to do, right? This is the drawback of not having the mobility spells, not having the Ezreal, not having the Tristana. You have no agency. You need your team, but where's your team?
Yeah, I think this feeds into what you were saying, RMC, or FourY4, I should say, that what's Titan supposed to do?
Yeah.
How is he supposed to play? This is not on Titan's Varus. This is the guy that had been struggling game 1 and 2, looking like the weak link. He's finally actually playing fine, but it doesn't matter. The whole map's on fire. What are you supposed to do? He now doesn't have the mobility to keep him from running it down, but now he doesn't have the mobility to escape from the melee comp that's diving down his throat every minute.
Between this game and Split 3, I think paiN should voluntarily get appendectomies, because the appendix actually doesn't do anything. Even if it's not leaking, you can remove it and nothing will happen. Now, it'll cost you an arm and a leg, and I don't know exactly how insurance works in Brazil, but I don't think they'll cover that if you just voluntarily decide to get your appendix removed when it's not actively killing you. But ever since Tatu has disposed of that unnecessary evolutionary byproduct in his midsection, the team has looked absolutely godlike.
I'm glad you explained that one, FourY4, because that's how it came out of nowhere.
We see another catch onto Karaoke here. Is about to go to 0-5. Titans drop the ult right now, but look at Furia just piling into this space. Now, can paiN use this to get some damage? Absolutely not. Not a chance. It's a double for Furia. They're into the base, ignoring the towers, and Roamer again.
Unbelievable.
Abandoned, fleeing his own base. It's a matter of time.
What? The crumbling of the final kings of CBLOL. paiN, they won 2024 Split 2. They were the team that got Brazil into Swiss stage at Worlds 2024. But you can see on your screens, on the camera right there, Titans giving up. He knows this is done and dusted. And this game 3, this last game of the LTA South Split 2 Grand Finals is unlike the first two. It's not a clutch win from Furia. It's not win one fight, suddenly win game. It's been dominant. 3-23, a 14k goal lead before Baron spawns. Furia, this is a victory lap.
I thought we were about to see a 24-minute win to close this game out, chaps, but it's not going to be just yet. Furia will exercise a last little bit of restraint. They'll peel back for the Infernal. It's not even the Soul game. It hasn't even been going that long, to be honest. So we're going to peel back for the third Infernal. And paiN, you could see that the camera shot of Titan leaning back in his chair, hands over his head. Yeah. My guy is already halfway home. He is checked out. He needs to dig deeper than anyone has ever dug to find a way after a 13k gold lead. But Furia, as you say, RMC, they're taking a victory lap right now. They back off. They get the chance for one more blowout fight to put a stamp on this victory.
I mean, when Titan grabbed himself an immobile AD carry, I don't know how much that influenced the decision as we get a replay of this absolute demolition here. But look at Titan, right? He's got everyone lined up, and then out of in the blink of an eye, JoJo and Gigo just like, you know, nothing personal, kid, and just teleports behind him and just what, and just give him the chunkla. And now this could be the game? Question mark. Glacial Fissure down. That'll be it.
I mean, Weiser and Roamer are split pushing bot side.
Okay. Objective bounties?
We're going to get a little bit of gold right here. Karaoke, remember that steal from game number 1? You got another one of those in you, buddy? You might need it.
I mean, this would be the biggest comeback in... the biggest League of Legends comeback I've ever seen in one game. If paiN somehow find a way to win this, a Baron might be an interesting way to start it up here, right? But they're banking on a long lane. I mean, beggars can't be choosers here right now. But my goodness, what a mountain to climb here for paiN Gaming as FourY to take the Baron on spawn.
Yeah, and fair enough. I mean, paiN, I think they made the right call by not going for the steal right there. Karaoke doesn't have flash available. You lose that fight, you lose the game. So instead, we see Weiser and Roamer just pushing up on the bot lane, grabbing those objective bounties. They actually did shrink the gold lead by about 1,500 from about 13k and change down to 11.8. Is it significant? No. Is it actually?
And also, you get a flat 1,500 from taking the Baron, so some of that just went whoosh out the window.
True. Yeah, and now with the Baron buff, Furia, they just need to push in and win this fight. Now, we have seen teams fumble right at this last fight when they're pushing in under turrets, but this game, at this moment, that would be a shocker.
Yeah, have they done it up 12,000 gold? I think we'll get the historians on that one. We'll get the we'll get our stats people on that.
I think the biggest one I could remember is like 9k, which was some Netshoes miners complete nonsense fest, 50 minutes deep, and we're 26 minutes in, so we've got a bit of time to maybe approach that level of gameplay, but
Titan and Gigo have come back from open Nexuses before, and JoJo have come back from open Nexuses before. It'd be funny to see if they actually did it to Gigo and JoJo. That'd be hilarious, but yeah, unfortunately it looks like 2 red cat hits is better than 1 right now.
The verging paths they may have had, but Furia are on the path to victory right now. Top lane crumbling, bot lane as well, attacking from all angles as paiN are being compressed in their base.
Come on, they've got to fight. paiN, don't go out with a whimper, go out with a bang. And they're trying to play it safe. They're trying to take their time, you know, wait for Furia to kind of overplay the engage, especially under turrets. That would be ideal. But losing all 3 inhibitors, that just feels like a death sentence.
Yeah, that's not ideal, to use a technical term.
No. We don't love that for them, to use the scientific description.
Here we go!
Oh, here we go. Weiser calling the play right now, but in comes the response from Furia. Titan immediately slammed in on, and they're looking for the dive. Big ult from Roamer. Slows down Io and Tuts, but they're under the towers. It's not the cleanest from Furia, and paiN might be able to stand their ground. 2 for 1. 1 turret down, but Furia, I don't think they can end it just yet.
I mean, look, they've got the Baron up cannon minions. They've got a lot of strength going forward, but paiN have a numbers advantage. Just surviving here might be good enough, even though they are hemorrhaging gold. These towers do respawn.
Looking for Wiser, they might have caught him on the front line, and Tatu picks up the credit. paiN now! They had the 4v3, but can they? How have they dropped this at the very end? FourY4, they don't need carries. They don't need champions. Karaoke tries to drag Tatu back in, but he just can't make it work. And that is it. FourY4 unveiling the new dawn for LTA South in the first time in franchise history. Not only will they grace the grand final stage, they will lift the LTA South trophy. The next generation is here.
It's a new dawn, as you call it, Trajan. A new chapter, a new story, because FourY4, the youngest roster in LTA South, their average age is 21.5 years old. This was meant to be a roster with a lot of young talent to be developed, but they've done it. They've won it. And not only did they win it, for the first time in FourY4's history, they made it to grand finals. For the first time in FourY4 history, they won a split. For the first time in LTA South history, they are going to be the first international reps from the LTA South to MSI. So a huge win for this team. And I just love it. That fact that LTA South has time after time churned out rookies who make it to international stage. It's Tatu this time, but I think back to, when Greftar literally joined in playoffs and made it. I believe Gigo, I think in his first or second split, made it to an international as well. Like, the young talent here is insane.
I mean, and what a future this could be, right? I mean, look, you don't want to start projecting ahead. paiN are still going to be waiting next split. They're not going to make any roster changes, barring disaster. But FourY4 aren't going anywhere. IE seem to have found their new groove as well. But I mean, what a performance here! Look, you showed up when it counted, and paiN did not. Dun satatu, like bash the camera with the trophy. You can do whatever you want right now. What a showing! And look, at credit to ThinkCard. Man, FourY4 have always had a knack for having like really good structure and coaches. This is the only team with a tier 3 squad. They don't have a tier 2 squad anymore, to be fair. So I don't know if I can give them that much credit, but they've always invested in young talent. This has always been their brand. I mean, yes. I say always, they had the Super FourY4, but after that, when they abandoned that, they have played the game the right way, to use a phrase that I hate when people say. But they've done everything right, and as crushing as it is to see paiN lose in this way, because I really do believe that they were our best international representatives, right? FourY4 just have a lot of more question marks about them. They are, look, but you're playing with house money right now if you're LTA South, right? And if you're FourY4, look, you get to go there, and IU finally gets to go international, right? Tatu is going to get so much seasoning going up against G2 in the MSI play-ins right now. This team is going to learn a lot. Gio gets to be back at internationals, man. But look, I have no words, man. They were not supposed to be here. Tatu's going to get interviewed right now, and deserved, man. Yeah. Look at all this. Yeah, Gigo with his parents, man. Awesome.
Yeah. You can see even IU cracking a smile at the 3-0 that he wrought over.
And that's the most emotion you will
paiN.
ever see IU show, by the way.
That was the craziest thing, honestly, from that, because he came in completely, as we said, stony, ready to do a job today, and he absolutely did. Even with the Yasuo game 3, he keeps it clean, and he completely outperforms Titan and Curry, which has evaded him all split long. To be honest, always. Titan has always had IU's number.
Oh yeah.
But not today. This was IU's day, this was FourY4's day, and they are absolute deserved champions.
100%. And fun fact about this roster as well. Now, everybody except for IU actually has some sort of international experience. Even Tatu, he might be a rookie, but he did actually just play in America's Challengers last year.
True.
In Tier 2. That was the Tier 2 International, and he won that one. So the only one without actual international stage experience
That's really funny.
is going to be IU.
True.
But what IU does have is a World's Trailer appearance. What was it?
Yes.
Which is hilarious,
Just
by the way.
A little ahead of time, but it's finally going to pay off. It's finally going to pay off. They knew back then, 3 years ago, whenever it was, that it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. And I guess they were right. IU's going to be there representing. Now, thank you, everybody. Thank you, RMC and FourY4 for joining me on this desk. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in through the LTA South channel, through the restream on LTA North, which we really appreciate. And we just have to remind everyone that we're a co-stream. We're doing this out of the love of the game, for the love of the region. Who wouldn't love this region? Let's be honest. After scenes like this. So all of the follows, the subscriptions, when you can offer them, are so appreciated. They show us the appreciation for doing this. We do it, as I said, we do it for 10 people for no money, because we literally did, you know, years ago. But we're happy to do it for more, and we really appreciate everything you guys have given for us. It makes us feel so good watching and seeing that you guys appreciate it. We need to thank Riot for allowing us to do this, for giving us that co-stream slot. You know, we're not 50,000 Twitter follower Andys. We are more or less randoms, I will say, but they have allowed us to keep doing this, and we really, really appreciate that. Thank you for Dia as well, organizing behind the scenes. We got to see him on one podcast episode, and maybe we'll get to see him a little bit more in the future, but he's off killing it in Apex. All of our producers as well that have been stepping in and out, including myself and FourY4, but mostly Chippy, who is producing today. Thank you so much. Rare Adam as well. Rude Dude coming in clutch at one point as well. Rev, Orbital, TDF, and Sofchan for casting.
Rose as well for producing a bunch in the regular season.
OG.
Yes.
Prod.
Yeah, we haven't seen them a bunch lately. They've been having busy lives. But also, real quick, I'll let you do the sign up. Guys, join the Discord server as well. We don't just talk LTA South in there. We talk everything League of Legends related, and sometimes even some other stuff. But no, we've got, you know, LCK and LPL enjoyers in there, because in Brazil it's a much more reasonable time to watch. It is 5 hours ahead of the unholy start it has here in California on the West Coast. So no, join in, be a part of this community, this region. It serves up something unbelievable every single split, man. I mean, there have been so few splits that have gone how we expected them to, and this was, I'll never forget this. This was where were you, man? Where were you? We hope you were here with us, and we're happy if you were.
Yeah, and Tati went to international before FNB. How about that?
Oh,
unfortunate.
I think this is now the most aligned you and Lunar Day have ever been in thought. It's just making FNB catch strays.
Yeah, can we have a handshake, Lunar Day, on that one, please? As an olive branch at the end of this split, we'll have a handshake on the FNB hatred. Well, I'll get on the train with you. I'll join you on the train. RMC, any final thoughts before we wrap it up for today?
I mean, huge congrats to FourY4. Wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, new blood at MSI. And I'm just going to go off to a corner and die now, just like paiN. So, yeah, just wrap it up, Trajan, and I'll just...
Yeah, they're waiting for him. They're ready. You can join them there. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching one final time. We will see you next split, and we hope you will tune in to support the LTA South at MSI. We cannot wait to see how FourY4 do. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, everybody. Good night.